Fuck yeah, we're
Making certain
live.
all my scenes are muted this time around. Okay, good.
Test.
Make certain it's going out to Twitch. Okay, it's going out to Twitch. Check YouTube. Subscriptions. And we are live on YouTube as well.
Beautiful.
Okay.
We just
The only thing I have to complain about with Restream so far is that their merged chat interface does not have a pop out.
That costs money.
Well, I'm already paying money.
speaking of which, we need to talk about that so I can figure out how we're going to do this going forward, if we are in fact going to do this going forward. But that's for off the feed.
Okay. Let's see.
Let's just tell people who are watching on YouTube today to watch on Twitch.
Don't we do that every single week?
Not the people who are watching for the first time. They might not know.
Nolan, how do I sound this week?
Say more than just like a few words.
Testing 1 2. This is me talking into the microphone, trying to start a conversation and get feedback.
Yeah, all right.
Okay.
There's a slight bit of background hum while you were talking, but it's not horrible.
Yeah, it's my AC.
You really only hear it at like the very end when you stop talking and the mic realizes you're not talking and that cuts out. That last like fraction of a second you can hear like the.
I turned down my gain
room
a little bit more. How
noise.
about now? Testing 1 2. Test.
I think that was great.
Okay, cool.
I don't hear any of the background noise.
Excellent. I figured out how to turn off the automatic gain in Discord, and evidently that has fixed my problem. Maybe.
Video games.
Who needs them, right?
There we go.
I would love to play one day. What 1 month streak? How did I miss a month? What are you talking about?
A 1 month streak of what?
Being subbed?
Yeah, you missed a month.
How? Dude, how is that fucking possible? Every time it pops up, I resub.
Maybe you weren't on a
you missed a week of the
podcast for a
show.
while, and you not being
Yep.
on the podcast meant you weren't in Twitch chat.
But I didn't skip a whole month.
That's true.
There was a
You
time
had a-
recently where you were pretty close to that.
I think so.
But
yeah.
February
wasn't in,
was
like, the
short.
past
Well,
month.
actually, not that much shorter.
February was
Less
the
short-
longest it could be.
Yeah, it's very true. That is very true.
Hello,
All
Soji.
right. I am pulling up the shit. I don't really have a plan for this show, other
Do
than
you need a
Rebirth.
plan?
I mean, Brad. We've been doing this for a long time. I think you should know by now that I'm the kind of person who feels most comfortable when I have a plan.
Oh.
There's a reason
Well, the
why I
plan
write
is to talk
scripts
about
for
Final
everything.
Fantasy. Oh, maybe a little fantasy critic.
Oh yeah, I keep forgetting, and then things come out, and I'm like, ooh, man, I almost bid on that. I'm glad I didn't.
Oh,
there's-
I've been saying, oh, I almost bid on that. Damn, I should have bid on that like I thought. But
I
that's
was
good. I told you not to bid on Outlast when you were trying to.
Hey
get
man,
Outlast.
early buzz about Outlast was really positive. I was actually really surprised when the reviews came out and they were as low as they are.
But it had early reviews, and those weren't great.
No, I'm saying like the buzz that I was in, albeit this was like not
Granted,
critical
hey,
reception. This was like people playing the game. and
truth
just
is, it's a
talking
certain
about it.
type of game that just doesn't score out of the park, anyways, even when it's like at its best. Like, for example, Phasmophobia is a phenomenon, right? It's like, in terms of like as much as people love it, like it's insanely successful in terms of sales, and insanely successful in terms of like user reviews, right? There are no critic reviews. It's an early access
Right.
game. But like, I have no doubt in my mind when that game hits 1.0 and it starts getting professional reviews,
It can be
they'll
trash.
be like, well, I mean, this is like
Comparatively
really cool,
speaking.
and it's like tops out in an 8, you know, because it's like janky and it's not beautiful, and it's like, you know, you might not be the smoothest experience connecting with your friends to play a game, as you know, we know, right? And it's complicated, right? It has a learning curve, and it just seems like the kind of game that even when it's a phenomenon, probably just not going to score that well.
I mean, that's probably true.
I believe you that the buzz was good for Outlast Trials. In my mind, that thing was never going to score that amazing.
I'm just like I'm just like fundamentally at my core like I don't want to play the game if I have to assume that games are going to score poorly just because of the genre they're in. Like
You don't want
I
to
know
play
that's
games?
no, I mean I'm saying Fantasy Critic. Like if I have to play Fantasy Critic and just not pick things because there's no way they're going to score that well because it's a horror game, then like that sucks. I don't want to be a part of that.
Bid on Silent Hill and
I'm
what's the
going
other
to,
one?
bitch.
What's the no? What about Alone in the Dark?
I'm a little less confident in Alone in the Dark.
Are you?
Although I am hoping it's a pleasant surprise. I did think there was potential in that demo. There's
We
potential.
are all hoping that
for either
literally every
direction.
video game is a pleasant surprise. No one wants to, you know.
The difference is you're probably going into it assuming it's not going to be a pleasant surprise.
I've been assumed that game is gonna blow just because, you know.
Right, and I am not.
All arrows are pointing to Mayday, but you know, we're talking like smart pick versus bad pick in a Fantasy Critic, and yeah, you know that indie horror is never going to be knock it out of the park in terms of like critic scores, but it doesn't have. I mean, it doesn't mean it's. I mean, that's fine, right? We talked about it. Why handheld games never scored as high as console games? I mean, even though, I mean, what?
That's true.
Who cares? Who cares that it's a handheld game?
I'm just saying,
A lot of
I'm going to
people
try and
apparently.
find my path to victory while still being true to myself. That's my goal.
Well,
That's
you
my
know,
goal.
you play lots of highly rated games too. Just nominate.
I know.
I mean, bid on
I'm not just arbitrarily picking stuff that I think is going to be good, or that I think is going to be good to me. Like I'm trying to be smart about it, but I'm not going to just. I'm the kind of person who's not going to bid on something just because I think it's going to rake in points if I have zero interest in it, and I'm not the kind of person who's going to assume that something is dead on arrival just because of, you know.
Look, you're doing really well. I worry about the choices you might make along the way. I want to see you. You know.
Damn. I know what you mean by that. Yeah. No, I know.
Stay strong,
I know.
Nick. You know, you rallied. You rallied last year, like I said you fucking would. You Debbie Downer.
I rallied? What does that mean?
You rallied. You know, games came out, and you know, I kept saying all year long, but your counter picks. You're in good shape, and then you weren't even close to last place.
I mean,
Brad,
it's true, I suppose.
I think we talked about it a few weeks ago. With the bucket list, but you know what Debbie Downer's from, right?
Oh, that's got to be SNL, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, that Rachel Dratch.
Yeah, the Rachel Dratch character, but Debbie
is one
Downer
of
didn't
the-
exist before that. But it's one of those things where I feel like Debbie Downer's been a thing my whole life. I feel like
That was an SNL thing?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
See, I believe
Doesn't-
that though. That one seems more realistic than Bucket List though. Bucket List sounds impossible.
You
Impossible.
say unpossible? Unpossible.
It was gonna be unbelievable.
Farrakhan.
I
y'all-
need
y'all
months
wanna see
late
a
for
recent-
thought he was
Farrakhan
gonna
is
say
at
recent
90
poop he took.
months. A recent.
Look at this thing I shit out the other day. Oh shit, Prince.
Hello, Prince.
Scored this bad boy on eBay the other day. Classic
Nice.
Lark.
Is it classic? Like, how pointy are her boobs?
Well, Jesus, Nick, they didn't make figurines out of the character, out of like the in-game models.
Well, I'm saying they could have. That happens all the time.
No, that definitely does happen, but
In fact, I'm fairly certain
they
there are
do it
plenty
like
of-
ironically. Like, man, I'm so mad I
yeah.
didn't buy those Final Fantasy VII ones from a few years ago.
yeah.
Now they're probably like a fortune, close to a fortune, but
Yep, that's probably accurate.
those were so hype. And now they use them like in the game, which is crazy.
Yeah, yeah. I actually saw that for the first
children
time.
figures going for nowadays.
It came with a cool backdrop. Check out this sweet backdrop.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
With the, I can't see what I'm doing. With the,
Looks like over $100 around there.
the what? Which
Was,
one?
the Final Fantasy Advent Children figures.
Oh, those.
I still have them all in box. I never opened them.
That's got to be worth some money.
But a little, like $100. I think I paid $20 each for them, so decent return.
Sorry, $100 a piece?
Mhm.
Or, oh wow, okay.
Yeah, but like, realistically speaking, in our fucked market for like any sort of like nerd resale thing, I feel like $100 is like small potatoes. Like every stupid fucking like video game thing ever is just cost way too much in the
Agreed.
resale market.
Yeah.
And I don't understand. Like it makes me never want to buy another old video game ever again. It's
I'm
like such a huge fucking turnoff.
I'm
Yeah, for
seriously
sure.
thinking about buying a $500 Nintendo 64 when it comes out.
What?
No, but that's your overpriced boutique bullshit. I'm not talking about the
I'll
real
sell
thing.
you my N64 for $400, Chris. There you go.
And
That's true. $3.99 over here.
I-
I even got the
$3.98.
I got the expansion pack in there.
so
But
do I. I got the expansion pack. I have it. It's over there somewhere.
I don't believe you unless you show it to us, Nolan.
proof of life.
Ah, Jesus.
I was just surprised by like how much of a. I mean, you can ride this thing along the floor. It's got a.
That's what she said.
I
My expansion pack's not in there right now. Well, of course. So as you
What
can see, I have my N64.
You must have gotten the green one.
Yeah.
That's fucking awesome.
It's very good camouflage.
Fucking magic. Oh man.
Is the logo on your hat? That's not green.
Prince
is.
never bought anything from eBay before.
I mean, this is not a green screen. It's it's the NVIDIA or not NVIDIA,
Oh, okay.
the Discord removal. So I mean, it's not trying to remove anything green. It's trying to cut out a person.
Okay, that makes sense.
I started using eBay again to buy like random odds and ends when they introduced the. I don't know how long it's been. When they introduced, because it used to just be like buy it now, or like start bidding, and then when they
Yeah.
introduced like
Mhm.
buy it now or best offer,
Yeah.
Mm.
I just started like lowballing random shit and was surprised by how many people were like, yeah, sure, whatever. When you're
Yeah, you can easily knock off like 25-30% on a offer. In fact, I imagine eBay incentivizes the seller to actually do that.
I have sold
Yeah.
more stuff on eBay in the past decade than I have purchased.
That's crazy. Selling stuff is like work.
I
You
just
gotta
sold
really
a
need
thing.
that extra buck, those extra
I
bucks. That's the
no,
problem. If
well, there's
I-
some things that like it only makes sense to try and sell it on eBay because like where else are you gonna fucking sell it? So
Flea market?
Yeah.
I mean,
I lost an SMG.
Mm-hmm. The flea market, there's one near me, and they have like a video game thing. Holy shit, they have the worst prices.
Oh my god, yeah.
It's
They
like
have
they
no
go
idea what they're doing.
they go to eBay and they look up what the price is, and then they jack it up by like 30%.
Yeah, I
of
mean, basically,
course.
smartphones ruined resale values because now
Oh,
everyone
yeah.
has the internet in their
Yeah.
pocket, like, and now everyone knows what everything's worth, and then they'll like, also
No,
everyone knows that everyone's
they
paying
think
too
they
much,
know
so
how much they can get for it. That's not what it's worth by any means.
Oh, you're right. I mean, you're right, but I'm saying like, then they'll have stuff that's like worth nothing. That's costs an arm and a leg. It's like you have no idea what you're doing. You just heard that video games are worth way too much, and some of the ones you have
Mhm.
are worth way too much. But
Q.
There we go.
But you know, the random person buying it doesn't always know.
Yeah, it's true.
So before we start recording, when do we do we just want to like do Fancy Critic whatever and then just like roll right into Rebirth and just follow that thread until we get to the end? Is that
I mean, we could.
Good to me.
I mean, there is some news, but I can save it for a 4-player minute.
I mean,
I've been playing
A
a lot
lot
more
of-
Bellatra.
Nice. I've been playing a lot of Yakuza.
I would
That's
like to
it.
briefly mention something about Yakuza.
you hate it now?
I'm assuming you finished.
He did finish because I know this because he was having a conversation on Twitter with Reborn, and
Mhm.
Twitter like when a thread becomes too long, it like starts randomly hiding certain responses at seemingly arbitrary. So like they're having a conversation, and Reborn's talking about Rebirth, and I think they're talking about Rebirth, and then all of a sudden the next thing I see is Chris Davis saying, "Oh man, I just beat it. 97 hours. You were in for a treat." And I was like, what the fuck? The game has been out for like 48 hours, maybe. And then I
Time
realized
dilation.
Twitter had hidden about 3 tweets in the middle, and they suddenly had switched to talking about Yakuza. So,
Okay.
again, fuck Twitter. All right. Quick shout out to our people who are hanging out in YouTube chat. Dano, Weeaboo, the Korean Drifter. That's it right now.
What the fuck is Dano doing over there?
It's haste.
I don't know. I hope people are picking a side and not like straddling the line, because
What
that's
we really
just
need to do is get people out of our damn Discord and over here into our Twitch/YouTube chat.
what I mean. I can't force them. I can't drag them in here. I wish I could sometimes, but I can't.
Maybe
Uh,
I could.
Oh
Could I
God.
theoretically do restream to Discord? Can you do that?
Zero Skies says sociopaths on both chats right now. Y'all do you. It's cool to see people in both. I mean, the idea is that most people probably have a preference between Twitch and YouTube, and you should pick whichever one you prefer. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. The real question is YouTube telling anybody that has subscribed to our channel that we're live?
It
My
only tells you
guess-
if you have the followed notifications on, or like notifications, because I don't get notifications when we go live.
Well, if anybody is on our YouTube channel watching right now and you have not rung the bell, as they say, please ring the bell. Is that how you say it? God damn it!
Sure.
Infrared just confirmed he's on both. No.
They're just trying to help.
I mean, but they're failing.
That's not
We
very
Just
like
nice.
kidding.
that to our audience.
Just kidding. I'm just kidding.
He's only marginally kidding.
Anybody watch that Avatar show?
I have not. Well, I mean, I've never
There's
even
an
seen the
Avatar
anime.
show? Oh wait,
The
which Avatar are we
Atla.
talking
Last
about? Wait, what
Airbender.
seem weird.
The only Avatar brand.
Yeah. There is no movie in Ba Sing Se.
Huh?
That's an Avatar
fucking
reference.
gay.
I thought it could be like the blue people.
God, they don't need to turn that into a show when they have like 8 movies planned.
Yeah.
You know, they
But
can't
it-
even put out a
I mean,
movie,
that's
let alone
literally
try to make.
how the world of, successful film property.
Yeah.
I mean, like nerd properties. That's what they do.
I mean,
It's such a
They make a
weird
bunch of
thing. Like
movies and a bunch of TV
it's like
shows.
if one or maybe 2 of those movies exist as it does currently right now, I'd be like, whatever is, cool. But like every time I hear someone say James Cameron has like the next 4 movies planned, I'm just
that man
just-
isn't going to live to make 2 more. Like,
I
I'm not
just-
certain I'll be
we didn't
alive when
wanna
they make the Avatar 8.
I didn't want to say that, but
How
Yeah,
old
but
do y'all think James
Everyone
Cameron
said
is?
that about Star Wars back in the day, and you're like, you were slurping it up. So
Lurpin?
why can't that be a thing with Avatar?
Wait.
He was glupping that shit out.
It's like,
I-
why do they
what?
always got to make a Avatar story about the blue people? I want to know about the Han Solo of type character of the Avatar universe. It's always got to be the blue people.
I mean, I just think
Who's the non Jedi of the Avatar universe? The cool non Jedi, like the Michelle Rodriguez. She's still around.
Is she in that movie?
she's not in the
Next-
second one. At least I
Michelle
don't think she
Rodriguez?
is.
Didn't they have...
I've
I
seen
wish
the
they made
second
the
movie and I couldn't tell
like,
you.
Michelle Rodriguez mech. Wait, she was like a.
I'm still trying to get over the whole Sigourney Weaver playing a child version of
Yeah.
her character in the second one. It's still like,
I've not seen the second one.
I mean, the second one, like, it's not like it's if you've liked the first one, you're gonna like the second one. They're fine, but like, it's just like that in particular sticks
What if
out
you
as
thought
like.
the first one was just okay?
Then you're probably gonna think this one
Literally
is
everyone
just
thought the
okay.
first one was just okay.
I think this has the potential to be maybe the most consistent franchise ever made. Like yeah, they're just they're very safe. Like they're not
Consistently, like
it's either whatever your opinion of the first one is, I think will be the same opinion you have of it by the
you're
end time
saying
you get to
every
the end of the
Avatar
8th
that
film.
will ever come out will be like, "Ooh, this is pretty," and then you immediately forget it exists. Like
If
a
that
week
is
after you
your
watched it.
if that is your experience with Avatar, any Avatar movie, I would argue that will be the same experience throughout the entire.
The crab like suits were cool. The crab robots, the crab suits
Crabbots.
were cool.
Zero Skies. A lot of people played the
Crab
Avatar
Bots.
game. It was one of the easiest games to get 100 or 1,000 gamer points.
That's true. What are we doing here
He's,
today?
he's making an Atla
I'm-
reference again.
Are we recording? I'm recording. I don't know about
I
y'all.
got it. I
I'm-
remember
I'll start
that
recording. Okay.
the Avatar game where you get 1,000 points by doing a combo.
That
Hey,
was
yeah,
you can
Burning
get it
Earth,
in like
and I
less
actually
than
own
5
that
minutes.
game.
Wait, really?
I've
I was
never
about to say it's easier than getting the 1,000 points for King Kong.
You
Yep,
mash a
it
button
is.
for 5 minutes, and
King
you
Kong,
get
you have to
all
play the
1,000.
game.
Yeah.
Man,
Why did you buy
Yeah.
that game, Chris Davis?
Because I'm a fan of Atla.
Of what?
I mean, so am I, but I'm not going to buy that game.
It was
Wait, which
also
game?
like
Which game?
$7.
Avatar: The Last Airbender, the video game.
yeah, wasn't that game
Mm.
trash?
Yes.
I hear it was. I've heard mixed
Mm.
things about it.
sometimes you love something so much you're even
You've
willing
heard
to pay
mixed
for its
things about
trash.
it. You own it.
There
What do
are
you
games that are admittedly very much trash that I adore.
Do you adore that one?
I haven't played it.
He's never played it.
Well, surely
go
you
with-
at least did a combo.
He's pleading the Nick on this
No.
one.
You
You
It's
know,
didn't
on
even
my
get
shelf.
the 1,000 points. You bought
no,
that
no.
game. It didn't
Let
even
me
get the
t-
1,000 points.
guys, ever since we started this podcast, I've always felt a little self-conscious about my opinion on like physical media, right? I've always felt like I'm a very weird person because I love physical media. And
Not weird.
I never
No one's
expected
ever
Chris
called you
Davis
weird.
to out weird me about that. No, I mean because like I very much like if I love something, I want it on my shelf. I want it on my fucking shelf. I don't, and it kills me when things don't have.
Do you have a
physical-
shelf in that room?
in this room?
Yes, he has a giant
Yes.
shelf
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like with games on it?
with a bunch of stuff
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah.
Count
He's
how
got a
many
nice
are
little collection.
Japanese. Go.
Oh
I
my
want,
God.
There we
I
go.
want to know
Really?
the ratio.
You want me to
I
do
want to
it?
know the percentage. Yes, let's
All
do
right.
it.
And
I mean,
also,
here's
while
the
you're
deal.
doing it, count the games that are wrapped in plastic still.
Okay, I'll do you one better, Brad. I'll do you one better because this is gonna be
That's
really.
true.
The shelves that I currently have up are smaller shelves, so I've had to pick and choose what I put on the shelves.
Okay,
Everything
okay.
else goes into a box. So I'm
Before you start
literally.
counting, do not count a Final Fantasy game or a Nintendo game. Go.
Oh fuck
Go.
me! Okay, give me a second.
He
Wait, am I
owns
counting
a lot of
out loud?
Capcom games.
Yeah,
Am I
count
counting
out
out-
loud. I want to hear
Okay.
out loud. Scream
All
it.
right. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are all Dark Souls games.
Oh, that's a
5.
Western aesthetic. Boo.
5. Does the Demon Souls remake count?
Eh, that's
Technically,
a Blue Point
yes.
game.
But it's
Blue
a
Point's
recreation.
licensed
It's a recreation.
It's almost 1-to-1. I would
Doesn't
think it's kinda
count.
fair.
Okay, fine. 5.
Blue Point.
6. 4 out of the 6 games I've counted have been Dark Souls or Elden Ring or Bloodborne.
What are the other ones?
Hold on. 7, 8. You said no Final Fantasies?
No Final Fantasies.
Uh,
I almost want to ban Souls
9.
games.
9. All right, switching over to the other side.
Just
Uh,
yell out some interesting titles, because I bet it's a bunch of safe bullshit.
Okay, well, Dark Souls, Elden Ring, Evil Within 1 and 2, Kingdom Hearts 3.
You said you keep stuff you love on your shelf. Oh wait, you haven't played that.
Monster
Because
Hunter.
if he did, he would hate it.
Monster Hunter, Iceborne. Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3, 5, 6, 7. Let's see. Oh fuck, that might be it. Valkyria Chronicles 4 and Zone of the Enders.
Bitch, you didn't play Valkyria 4.
I did. I played like 10 hours.
I own
of
it.
I do. I do own
10
it.
hours of it, dude. That's like, remember, that's your fatal flaw. You know, you don't get points in our "Are you racist or not" challenge if
I
you
know.
don't finish.
Believe me, I know. I think about that every time.
Wow.
Hey, there's more.
Sounds like
there's
just
more.
a bunch of Souls games.
That was me skipping over all the Final Fantasies and my whole row of Switch games.
Now reveal the truth. There's 797 games over there.
No, it's probably like 50.
Yikes.
Shut up. What? I'm being
No, it's cool.
being a team player here. All right, are y'all ready to record?
I've
Yeah,
been
Now that
recording.
that's over.
I never stopped.
I'm recording.
Okay, we'll stop the recording and start over because I don't want all that jazz at the beginning there.
By the way, James Cameron is 69 years old.
Nice. I think it's mostly just. I mean, I think mostly my hesitation is that James Cameron's a pretty talented filmmaker, and I feel like he's going to spend the majority of the remainder of his career making Avatar movies, and that's a shame. I feel like.
Nah, he won't.
don't think
he
so?
won't just do that. He will farm out the license for Terminator and make money off that.
No, but like that's what I'm saying. I'm talking the movies that he is directly involved in the creation of, especially directing, it's gonna be dominated by Avatar movies at this rate, and that's just kind of a shame.
James Cameron's kind of like Kojima-esque, right? Where like he gets so much mileage out of the fact that people just throw money at him because they think that he's brilliant, which is, he puts out a product that does well, right? That people
He has
like.
made brilliant movies,
Yes,
I think.
that is a
Yeah.
factual statement.
Brilliant, but like brilliant. I don't know. Brilliant is a big word.
It is a big
I don't know
word.
about brilliant.
Are we
He's made
is this
some
good?
Awesome movies.
I'm not recording yet because I figured we weren't actually
Okay,
recording
let's
yet,
do a roll
just how
call,
we
then
were
we can-
talking.
Yeah, let's do a roll call and get
He's
started.
made some sick movies.
I wanted to shoot the shit, but it's fine. We do a roll call, and I just wanted to bring something else up that I had found out the other day. I don't think I talked about it on
that you
the
do
show.
that you do or do not want to be on the show.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
It's not very good show content, in my opinion.
Well, then let's
Is it about the thing where you've been eating your boogers at night and you've realized
Exactly.
You
So no,
know
I
it,
saw
but then
I
burn
saw
it at
something the
Friendly
other
Burger
day
Kings?
about like I can't remember what it was. It was some new movie that just came out and how it had like like maybe it was Dune or something. And how it had like such a big budget and blah blah blah. And I can't remember what it was, but I was like, that's a decent amount of money. But I guess new movies do cost a lot or whatever. And then I was like, I'm trying to think of like other big budget movies that have kind of made back what they kind of put into it. And I was like, how much did it cost to make Lord of the Rings?
Yeah, that's the first
and
thing
I
that
looked
comes
it
to
up.
mind.
I looked it up, and it was like $281 million adjusted for inflation. And I was like, that's a decent amount. And then I realized, it's 281 for all 3 movies.
Yeah.
Holy shit! How like those movies? They so much like sets and like costumes and
but they shot them back to back though.
No, I get it, but that which was more efficient. But yeah, and of course, total box office for all 3 is $3 billion, so a decent return on their investment.
They've made a pretty good return on that.
Yeah,
for sure.
All right. Anyway,
I'm
good to record and do a roll call and stuff.
All right, I'm recording. Let me know, Brad, Chris Davis.
Oh, I'm ready.
I restarted my recording for the 4th time. Yes, I'm ready.
Thank you. All right, let's do a quick roll call. Brad Simons.
What up? Yeah. What up?
That's the best one you've ever done. Chris Davis.
Hello, this is
That's not true.
Chris.
Remember the one when I was making the penises? You got lots of good content for finding what the waves, lengths.
Stop talking during the roll call. Chris Davis, try again.
Oh.
This is Chris trying to talk again. Hopefully Brad does not interrupt me.
And Nolan.
Hey, this is Nolan, and I'm here to talk about video games on the podcast, even though I haven't played Final Fantasy.
That's cool. That's you like Final Fantasy though, right? So
I do quite a bit.
All right. Hey everyone, welcome to 4Player Podcast. It's episode 786. It is March 5th, 2024. I'm your host this evening, Nick Henderson, joined as always by the illustrious Brad Simons.
Hello.
Nolan Hedstrom.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
And Christopher Davis.
Good evening.
And I can, as you can probably imagine, we, along with the rest of the video game world, have been, steeped in Final Fantasy talk in our Discord and playing a lot of it. I know, Nolan, I do apologize. I know you said you have not started yet, so I'm not trying to like rub salt in the wound or anything. You have been playing a lot of Yakuza though, so that's good.
Yeah, I'm trying to get out of the habit of picking up the newest game that I really want to play while I'm in the middle of one I'm really enjoying. Because that's why I didn't. For example, Spider-Man 2, never finished it. Not because I didn't enjoy it. It's just because something else came out, took my attention away, and I never went back. So I'm trying to stop that now, and I'm like, I'm going to finish Yakuza, and then I'll do Final Fantasy.
That is an admirable effort. I am trying to get better at that myself, even though I say that at the same time as I'm juggling 3 games right now, so I can't really say I'm doing very good at it, but I appreciate the effort. But in a little bit, we're gonna get to it. We're gonna talk a lot about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth because it has kind of taken over the video game world, and there's a lot to cover there. It's one of the most beloved. It's a remake of one of the most beloved games ever made, right? So we'll get there in a minute. But before that, I just wanted to see what's going on. How's everybody doing? Anything exciting?
No.
Anybody else watch Dune?
No.
What do you mean? What is it? What is this looking down your?
No, I didn't like the first one.
Nobody prepared me for this on the podcast, so I'm a little flabbergasted. I'm going to be honest. I don't even know if I should touch that one with a 10-foot pole.
I didn't watch the first one, so I didn't watch the second one.
Any particular reason why you didn't watch the first one?
Because I couldn't get out to a movie theater, and I kind of really only wanted to watch it in a movie theater.
What is your problem? Go ahead.
I was just saying, so you're never going to watch the movie because you can't watch it in a movie theater? I mean, it did come back out in a movie theater before the sequel came out. Just FYI.
No, I don't know. I mean, there's other movies that I've kind of done that with, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to say it like this because I don't mean for this to sound as conceited as I think it's going to. If you would
Conceited, oh.
if you would like to come over and watch it in my my theater room with the big with the speakers and the whatnot.
Oh, yeah.
you
That
know,
ain't a
that'll-
fucking movie theater, Nick.
No, but it
plenty,
will like
like-
shake the walls a little bit, which is
Yeah,
kind
I
of
mean,
what you go to Dune for, right?
I'm not like unhappy with my setup or anything.
You
You
just-
know, I
okay.
just
You
want to
just- you
watch
just-
Dune on like I wanted to watch a Dune at like the fucking IMAX or whatever. Not
You
your
had so many
fucking-
chances. You had so
Yeah,
many
well,
chances.
I mean,
He's
it's
got
hard for
2
me to get
children.
up to watch
Oh,
movies.
I do always forget about the children. Chris Davis, do you have?
I mean, it was
I-
more that my wife had zero interest in it, and like it would literally have been just, you know,
I mean, I
me
bought it and I
abandoning the
watched
children
it.
and my
It
wife
was
to go watch it, which
it was okay. It feels to me the
Yeah, you
problem
own it.
with filming Dune historically has been no one can think they can actually be actually done. Like it feels like they took a 10-hour movie and trimmed it down to 4 hours. And
4 hours.
I mean, it feels like 4 hours the length of it, and
Okay.
That's what she said.
cut out a lot of exciting shit.
why do you own that? You didn't watch it in a theater?
No,
See, okay, so he has this weird thing about buying things that he
That's what I
consumes
was gonna
before he
say
consumes
before
them.
you interrupted
But
me.
before we get to that strange life choice, maybe you would have liked it more if you saw it in a theater.
It
See,
was pretty
I
impressive
have
in a
this
theater.
fear that like that is certainly the kind of movie that I would only really appreciate if I saw it in a movie theater at the fucking IMAX. You know,
I don't get to the movie theater much anymore.
It's like that experience, right? And now you watched it at home after buying it, of course, and you thought it was mid. And now
Here's what I will
I'm
say, because I have seen other people say they thought the first Dune was mid, and having rewatched, because I rewatched it right before going to see part 2, and I will say I had kind of forgot, especially now that I've seen the second one, the first movie especially feels like an enormous prologue to what the actual story is, which is what they should, which is what Dune 2 is. I mean, and I know I've read the book. I read the book after watching the first movie, and I do realize that the first movie covers about half of that first book. But all of the good shit, all of the really exciting, truly awesome shit in Dune happens in the second half, and I think the same can be said of the movie. But you know, that's neither here nor there. I saw it. I thought it was pretty damn good. Although
Remember
I did
Mad
learn.
Max Fury Road? I adore that movie. I feel like if I watched that at home for the first
still
and only
pretty good.
time, I'd be like,
Oh,
"This is
first.
okay."
I think you're weird. I'm gonna be honest. I think that's kind of weird.
Well, once again, Nick, I will also say that you do have your theater set up, so it is definitely different from watching on a television.
Well, like, I
Yeah.
watched The
Then-
Dark Knight like on my just my regular TV in my living room.
But
or
you saw that
whatever.
in theaters, probably IMAX, without a doubt.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, are you saying because it's like the first time
the
watching
first
it?
time, the first time you're
Oh.
experiencing it.
Okay. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
true.
So people in chat over at twitch.tv/4Player podcast are talking about like going to the movies and stuff like that, and movie experiences. I'm not gonna lie, it's been a while since I've been to the theaters, but I really do miss it. I some of the best times of my life. Not saying anything negative against my wife or the great life I have now, but when I was in community college, my watch just vibrated and I thought she was like texting me. I heard what you said.
How dare you?
She's listening to you right now.
When community college, I literally was still living at home. I would go to class in the morning. I'd have like an 8 a.m. My classes were from like 8 a.m. to 11, and that was done for the day. And I would always go straight from community college to the theater and get like 11 a.m. showing of something, and no one was ever there. It was like the best time of like my life, was just going by myself. Like literally, I think I probably saw like 20-25 movies in that however time
Yeah.
span. I think maybe 4 times there was someone else in the theater, and it was like
Damn.
the best time, just being able to go by myself in a theater.
And
Dude,
that's
I
what
think I
and-
became a film snob because of doing the same thing, but like at the indie theater in Dobie Mall, I'd
Mhm.
watch so
Adobe
much
Mall,
shit
yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah.
I'd watch so much shit there.
Nice.
That's also where I played a bunch of Tekken, that and other places on the track.
Mhm.
Oh
I mean,
man, the good
There's
days.
only really 2 movies that I want to go see this year for sure in the theater.
2 this
Yeah.
whole year. Okay.
This whole year. Yeah, there's nothing
And
really that's grabbing me so far.
and one of them is Godzilla versus Kong or
Very true,
Godzilla X
yeah.
Kong. Okay, and what's the
It's
other
a
one?
legal obligation. I mean,
And
the
the
other
other
one
one?
is Ghostbusters.
Okay, I got my Ghostbusters tickets. Woo! I'm excited. No, I
But
mean,
like,
this
I
is fair.
I have
This is
no
fair.
affinity for fucking Planet of the Apes. Like, I'm not.
Dude.
Okay.
Okay.
Wow. What's
I mean, here's
Wait,
why did you have
yeah,
to
hold
throw,
on.
throw
Roll
it
that
across
back a
the-
second. Have you not seen the new trilogy?
I've seen the first 2 movies. I dropped off after that.
Whoa. First 2 of the remake trilogy, or like first 2 Planet of the Apes films from like back in the day.
No, I've seen
these-
a couple of the original Planet
You
of
are
the Apes
not
films.
answering my question.
talking
Have you
about,
seen any of the
like,
remakes?
The one in San Francisco and the post-apocalyptic one, like
Okay.
those 2.
So you've seen Rise of the Planet of the Apes and Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Or
Yeah,
was it
I
maybe
don't like that naming scheme,
Correct.
but yeah.
War of the Planet of the Apes, the third one. Dude, those movies are so fucking good.
They are
Okay, so-
very good.
So I mean, here's the thing. This new one, I'm gonna go see purely because it's kind of an addition to those movies, even though it's not. It is not the same director, so I'm not. I don't think it's an automatic winner.
Ah,
Like the
Oh my-
only other 2 movies I'm kind of interested in at this point right now is the new Alien film and
Romulus?
the new Beetlejuice.
Yeah, I keep forgetting
Wait,
about Beetlejuice.
They're doing a new Beetlejuice?
It is,
Yes,
they are not
with
doing it. It
Michael
is done
Keaton.
film. Michael
What
Keaton.
the fuck?
is there a
Yeah.
trailer
To the
for that?
Googles.
Yeah.
No.
Is
There's
there
no
a for
trailer.
that?
There's no trailer yet, but it stars Jenna Ortega as Winona Ryder's daughter,
Of course, it
And
does.
Winona Ryder's in there.
and Winona Ryder's in there. Yeah, and
I mean,
they're
I would
doing.
not watch it if she wasn't.
But yeah, I mean, dude, I think there's a lot of stuff coming. I mean,
What?
who? I mean,
They're making
I'm
a
the
Gladiator 2. I'm
Yep.
looking at a list of bullshit coming.
The
out.
crazy
There's a
thing
lot of
about
stuff.
Movies.
The crazy thing about Gladiator 2 is that it is the same direct, like it's why am I is that
Ridley
Ridley
Scott.
Scott? Yeah, it is a Ridley Scott sequel, like not just some like cat. I mean,
I
I'm
feel
about to
like
say
you
it's
can't
some
call
cash-in.
it Gladiator 2. I feel like it just
I don't
feels
know if-
wrong.
I don't know if
to
they've
call
given it.
anything Gladiator 2.
I don't know if
Yeah.
they've given it an official title yet, other than it's
Oh,
the next
okay.
Gladiator film. That
Oh,
could
yeah.
change.
Here's a hot take. Speaking of hot bankable actress in the leading role or whatever the fuck. This Mad Max Furiosa
Mm.
movie, I feel like the whole reason, because they pitched that years ago, or people were asking for it, like when Fury Road first dropped, they're like, fucking do a Furiosa movie, right? But I feel
Yeah.
like the reason for that
It's
is
because of
because
Charlize
like
Theron.
Charlize Theron was so fucking badass in that movie, right? That's why they
Yes.
wanted it. So to
Yeah.
make one of these movies and not even have her as the character, it's like
They
that
got
was the whole
Anya
It is
Taylor
weird.
Joy.
and that's what I'm
Like,
saying. It's
okay,
like
I mean,
but
I
you
like
had
Anya
one
Taylor
job,
Joy.
and it was to like take that character, the character from that movie that we liked, and make that into a movie. It's not like the concept of her character that was cool. It was
Yeah.
her that was cool.
Okay,
Agreed.
I don't disagree with you. But I will also say this: I think this movie still has plenty of potential to be awesome in and of
I'm
itself.
not saying it doesn't. I guess
I know. I'm just.
maybe.
It's a little bit of a bummer. It's a little bummer because yeah, Charlize Theron is fucking awesome in that movie. But I also like Anya Taylor Joy, and I think she has the potential to do some pretty cool stuff. And it is a prequel,
Yes.
but I guess they probably made it a prequel when they found that they didn't have Charlize Theron.
Of course. Yeah.
So, but anyways, that's that's neither here nor there. We could talk about movies for the rest of this show if we
Beetlejuice
wanted
2
to.
is gonna fucking suck, isn't it?
Dude, it's Tim Burton and Michael
Have-
Keaton. I don't know. Why do
Speaking
you assume
of-
that?
I don't know. I don't know if it's accurate or not, or if it's just somebody making it all up. But have y'all seen all this shit with like the Star Wars ads baked into the movie from what
Argentina
country?
or Peru or something like that?
Yeah.
it's
The
like Peru or
the
something.
Chilean something. or
Yeah,
other.
with a beer in
Yeah.
the I don't know if those are real or not. Like, first off, if they actually did that, that's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
But that being said, whoever's actually been creating these, it definitely has some talent though, because it looks legit. But yeah, and it's pretty funny if you haven't seen them.
No, yeah, it's pretty good stuff.
Cerveza Cristal.
I don't know what that meme is yet. I need to look that up.
You haven't seen it?
No,
Cerveza Cristal? No.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, dude,
you
look
should-
it up. There's some pretty funny ones. Yeah.
it's
All right.
pretty good.
Did we talk
I mean-
too long about movies?
I
think
mean,
we
not
did.
we literally
All
only
right,
have,
that's the show, everybody.
we literally only have Final Fantasy VII Rebirth on the dock tonight, so like
Yeah.
we can do whatever the fuck we want. We haven't even talked
Yeah.
about Fantasy Critic yet, but let's be real. Has anything interesting happened in Fantasy Critic? Brad, take it away.
Yeah, of course. There's always shit like popping up. I mean, first of all, Final Fantasy's like holding strong, Nicholas. I mean, that's a big W. Also
It
holding
is.
strong is fucking Balatro. I keep looking at it like it's gonna go down. It's gonna go down, and then I check and like the last 3 reviews that I saw last time I looked it up were all like 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10. And like I was expecting like, oh, maybe it's getting some 5-star out of 5-star reviews. No, they're just 10s. And I'm like, oh
Yep.
my God.
But then
So
you play the
know,
game and you're like, yeah.
Sure, but fuck you and your double points. It shouldn't be at 92. How dare you? I hate it. I hate it so much.
Oh,
Um,
I didn't
and
realize
Final
that.
Fantasy's still a 93. Yeah, I picked up a game.
Wait, one second. You were
I-
about to say Final Fantasy is still what?
still lame and stupid. And if you like it, you're stupid.
No,
and
come
if
on,
you
get
think
it.
it's the best game since
It's a
Final Fantasy X,
93.
you're stupid.
Hell
heard
yeah, it's
someone
a
call-
93.
I heard someone call Final Fantasy X Final Fantasy X recently, and it's just like, what
it-
the fuck are they doing?
No.
What are you doing? You can't do that.
You can't read a Roman
Um,
numeral?
Hey, you laugh, but there's probably plenty of people who don't.
I picked up Satisfactory 1.0.
You did.
Brave.
Okay.
Brave.
Brave. Okay.
Here's the thing. I thought
Like a
about
brave.
it. I thought
No,
about bidding
you're
on
talking.
it
Is it going to
myself.
come out? No. They've
Yeah.
no.
Have
They
they?
announced like with much fanfare that
guess I
1.0
missed
is
it.
coming out this year. Yeah.
Although it did
So
say,
they say.
they said it's coming out later this year, so I still
Yeah.
wasn't. I wasn't
Dude,
entirely.
my whole list
comfortable-
is later this year. Like none of my games are coming out until like forever. So
Here's the thing. I
Yeah.
feel like maybe more so than like non-early, like I feel like early access games, when they say coming later this year, they are maybe less inclined to be really on top of like delay announcements. You know what I mean? Like 'cause
Yeah.
when you say
no, but
I-
this is not the kind of game that. So like they had a video where they did like this big roadmap thing, and we're like, 1.0, it's a big deal for us this year, and then they showed like the roadmap for like afterwards. And this is a game that's been in early access for a very long time. This is not the kind of game that's going to be like, they're going to be, rushing it out the door, and it's going to be coming in hot, and it's going to be all buggy and disastrous and shit. This game has had a lot of major updates over the years, which is one of the reasons I picked it up, is because a lot of people play it and they already know that they really like it. I mean, that's
Yeah.
sort of why early access can be pretty potent.
I
Potentially.
thought about bidding on it, but I also weighed that against whether or not I wanted to risk having to use like a super drop or something on it later. And I was
Oh.
like, I felt like maybe I'll just wait. Also,
Again, I think if you had watched the video I did, you'd be.
I mean, I didn't
pretty
watch the
comfortable
video,
with
but I
it
did
coming
read a
out
couple
this year.
articles about their roadmap and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I did check out their Twitter account, and they seem pretty. They seem pretty
Yeah.
focused on hitting that
I-
on that target. So
I'm not too worried about that. I'm actually like have much more concern over some of the other stuff that I drafted, because it's all like, I went riskier in terms of like, is this actually going to come out? I don't know, but if it comes out, it's going to hit. So that's kinda what
speaking
my
of
list has been.
Speaking of risk and early access, I do think it's maybe worth mentioning. This is Chris Davis related. No Rest for the Wicked's been getting lots of preview coverage, and they've talked more about early access and whatnot. And we still have not been given a definitive roadmap, so we don't really know when it's coming out. But I don't think we can necessarily 100% rule it out coming out of early access this year.
Yeah,
I think
they've
it's
confirmed
gonna be
launching.
close.
It's launching in early access in April.
In April.
Yeah, but
I know, but-
who would take that bet though? I mean,
I
like,
know.
that's-
I'm saying I'm not.
the
I'm not
odds are low.
I'm not arguing that it was it's a risk. It's not a risk or something. I'm saying it's still, if it comes out this year, it's a huge risk. But
Did Ed
but
drop
I
a
don't think
game?
it's necessarily completely out of the realm of possibility that it comes out of early access this year. Outlast Trials, which also came out this week, had a fairly short early access run. It's not entirely unheard of. So
Did he?
I think
Right.
Ed did drop a game. Homeworld. He dropped
he
Homeworld.
dropped Homeworld 3, but that was a couple weeks
Hmm.
ago.
Hmm.
Also, I feel bad because Ed did drop that, not quite understanding how the drop rules work, so he used his one unconditional drop on that.
Yeah.
But that was a
without
good one to
really-
use it on. Everyone's like thinking
I
that
mean-
one's going to be pretty dire, honestly.
Yeah.
From what I've seen.
But anyways, that's anything else fantasy critic related?
Yeah. So,
go.
Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons, the remake, evidently came out last week, and I had no idea it happened. That got
Was
to
that on somebody's?
81.
Was that on your list?
Yeah,
He drafted that. He bid on that after the draft, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
there's
at
a
an 81, which is pretty much kind of what I expected that game to max out at. So
maybe it's just all the Final Fantasy talk happening right now, but like that game came out, and I didn't hear a single. I was like, "What? That game
probably
is
no one
out?"
fucking bought it.
Me
It was a
either.
terrible time to release that, unfortunately.
It's
Yeah.
a terrible time to release it. Maybe kind of a weird
that
decision
game,
in
but-
general to remake in the first place. I don't know.
Yeah. Also, so we've got Unicorn Overlord this Friday.
Does that have reviews yet?
No,
No, it does not.
it's gonna do well though.
Oh yeah, sure.
Based
I'm
on
sure
the
it is.
8 hours of it I played, I'd say like 85 plus.
Good.
Okay.
I'm aiming
Okay.
for 95. And then so here's the thing. So Rise of the Ronin, previews that are based on like the first 3 hours of the game are going live now.
Like
but the
right now,
review
like as we're
embargo
recording
isn't-
this.
I mean, they went live today.
Are they okay? Okay, pause for a second. Are they fucking stupid? Are they stupid? Not only
No
is it
demo?
a tragically bad idea to release Rise of the Ronin the same day as Dragon's Dogma 2, but to release your preview embargo the same day that the preview embargo for Dragon's Dogma 2 lifted, which was also today, is the dumbest shit. By the way, glowing fucking previews for Dragon's Dogma 2, of course.
Yep. Look at
What
Nolan's.
is wrong with
Who drafted that?
Sony's publishing Rise of the Ronin? They are part of this decision, poor decisions to
Well,
do this. They're sending
they
this
are?
game to die.
Brad, Sony's not made any bad decisions lately, have they?
Well, I mean, they all make terrible fucking decisions. My God.
But this is especially egregious. I think they're
It's
committed
a
to their
bad
stupidity,
idea.
though.
the overlap in like audiences. Do
Yeah.
not do that. I can't think of a single person, and I know a lot of people who are interested in like Rise of the Ronin, right? Because Team Ninja makes these kinds of games and they're good. But
Mhm.
like Dragon's Dogma, I feel like is building to something like I think that's going to be really huge. I think Dragon's Dogma is going to blow up. Not like quite like Elden Ring or like Monster Hunter World, but like it's definitely going to like knock it out of the park compared to the first one. I think it's going to be pretty damn big.
It sounds like it's going to.
And
Yes.
no one, I mean, they're gonna it's gonna bury
Yeah.
Rise of the Ronin.
Um,
And I think
that-
that game's gonna have a lot of technical issues, although Dragon's Dogma probably will as well. I don't know.
I think they seem. I think
What's
they
that to do
seem
with Fantasy
committed.
Critic?
Also, I mean, because it's on people's lists and there's people talking about it.
It's true.
Also, there is an Xbox event tomorrow, and I've heard some people like wondering if maybe they're gonna drop a Dragon's Dogma 2 demo announcement
They
tomorrow.
might. They might.
Dragon's Dogma 2 demo. That would
There
maybe.
was
I mean, it's
some
just
really interesting news that dropped in the past couple hours about that event tomorrow.
which
Mhm.
is
It looks
I'm
like,
listening.
based on retailers going live in Japan, that there is a full port of all 3 Stalker games coming to console.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I saw that.
That's really
Which is weird because
interesting.
those games have never been on console, have they?
No, they've never.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but the question
Xbox,
is it?
record that.
But is this? I mean, is this? Are these going to be ports from some other studio that has no? I mean, I guess they kind of have to be at this point.
Hmm.
I
don't
mean,
think
yeah,
the
there's
studio-
no way GSC did this.
Yeah,
would
best say
think.
there's no way the studio making Stalker 2, which is also having to contend with an actual war, is also somehow developing these ports of these games, which, again, different team than what the ones that actually made that original game. So I think it's all going to kind of hinge upon who's making those ports, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah,
I'll be
it's
really interested to see tomorrow.
it,
Like we said, Microsoft event. It's like 30 minutes, and there should be that they're preparing to drop some stuff. Um, Other than that, I don't really know what to
Silksong, we're
say
gonna think
about
we'll
that.
see a Silksong trailer.
Hey, my
that
wife
game,
is
that
like
game doesn't exist.
super. My wife is like has picked this year of all years to like go balls deep on Hollow Knight. She is like she texted me
Good.
I
Wow.
texted her. I was like, hey, how's it going? How's your day going? And she's back, and she texted me back, and she was like, day's going all right, but I'm thinking about Hollow Knight. And I was like, it's got her. It's fucking got her. She's got like 30 hours into Hollow Knight at this point, and she started
Nice.
it like sometime last week. So I got to kind of like fill her in on because she hasn't really been paying much attention to Hollow Knight, so I got to fill her as like, welcome to Hell, which is now with the rest of us waiting for Silksong, which we've been contending with now for like 5 years, and you're probably gonna get lucky and they're gonna announce it this year like as like an actual date, and you're gonna feel like the wait was nothing. So that's a little disconcerting, but whatever.
just like
I'm glad she's playing
do
it.
not for any gaming news event that happens over the next year. Don't look for Silksong to be there because you're building up your anticipation and you're just going to end up being disappointed that it's not there. Just let it be a
That's-
pleasant surprise that pops up.
It won't be though. Everybody, every single, and I even told this to Robin. I was like, every single like gaming event where they're gonna have announcements for something, every time is like, this is the one, this is it, and every time we're let down. But you're not gonna be able to stop people. You can't stop people.
That
Also,
Xbox event where they did the trailer was the worst thing they could possibly do to their audience.
it was pretty bad. Just I felt I was like, hanging out in the living room the other day, and she's like, "Oh, who are these? Who are these guys?" And I was like, "Who? Where? Who?" And because she's playing on the Switch, and she's like, "These like Mantis people." And I was like, "Oh, she made it to the Mantis Kings or whatever they're called, right?" And I just remember how fucking much I hated that boss. And after about 10 minutes, she's like, "Oh, done." I was like, "What?" I was like, you're really good at video games. I feel
Nick crawled so Robin could walk.
yeah,
Exactly.
that's what, yeah. But yeah, the Mantis Lords. Thank you, Prince. I forgot what their official name was. And she was like in shock when she like walked into the next area, and suddenly all those Mantis enemies that she's been like contending with for the entire time were like suddenly bowing to her. And I was like, that game's pretty good. That game is really fucking good.
You could say it's one of the best games ever made.
You could say that. I don't think
Mhm.
many people would argue with that.
Well, critics upon initial release maybe would, with their indie tax, motherfuckers.
I mean, here's the question, Brad. Let's just say, hypothetically speaking, Castlevania Symphony of the Night didn't exist, and then it came out in the year 2023, made by Konami. Do we still call that an indie game? Do you
Huh?
think
No.
if Symphony of the Night came out, it would pay the indie tax because of the kind of game that
Well,
it is?
let me
Or
ask
do you
you,
think people would recognize
Prince
it
of
as one of
Persia
the best
just
games
came
ever
out.
made?
Prince of Persia just came out. Would you
Mhm.
say that paid the indie tax? I don't
Not
think so. I
necessarily.
think it scored
No.
really well.
I think it scored really well, and I think it.
Appropriately? Do you
Yeah,
think
I'd
it
say
scored appropriately? I heard some people say it's like one of the best of the whole entire genre now.
I mean,
You finished it?
I did. Yeah.
What do you think?
I mean, I feel like I've played enough of those style of games at this point that I don't necessarily know if I'm comfortable calling it one of the best in the. I mean, it's like one of the best feeling games, and I guess the way that games like that can feel to control is pretty fucking important. So
Yeah, it carried,
I mean, it
Metroid Dread.
flows. It flows very, very well.
Yeah.
But there are some aspects of that game too where I was just kind of like,
Story's kind of meh.
story's kind of meh, and
Let me tell you, the story in Symphony of the Night's kind of meh.
it is. The question still stands: would Symphony of the Night pay the indie tax?
It paid
if
it
it
back
released
then.
today.
I think it paid it back
So
then. In fact, it was
hold
even
on.
harsher back then.
Here's the
People
problem
were
with that,
harsh on
Nick.
2D games.
Here's the problem with that logic is we would not have a concept of a Metroidvania if Symphony of the Night came out today. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the problem is, so many games came out of that and we have this concept of what we think as a Metroidvania, or at least in that
That's
case,
true.
Castlevania. So if that came out today, even though it is an indie, I think it would be so revolutionary that it would still get a lot of praise because
I think it,
obviously it's a little clunky,
Would it break
compared to what
90? I think
yeah,
it's
it felt revolutionary
honestly,
at the time.
I think
right?
it would. I think it would.
Because it took a long running, like respected series, right, in the Castlevania games, and it did this thing that like we turned it into this this Castlevania game. Now there's the whole fucking castle, and it's just it's like Metroid. Like you didn't see that happen to like franchises much, right? Where they
Right.
like took a formula and like blew it up into like this thing that's like completely different. So it felt revolutionary at the time. Now it would just be another one of those, right? I mean, it's also really like kind of weird and janky too back then. I mean, obviously, what are we talking about here?
I don't know. Like I said,
Did
I
y'all
don't
hear
have a
that
lot.
Mandalorian game by Respawn got canceled? What the fuck,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Everyone's
And
laying
the
people
word
off.
is
And,
that
I heard
they were very excited about what they were making there. So just fuck EA.
I heard a really good theory. And I don't even think it's a theory. I think that once a major company like Microsoft, right? I think maybe they were one of the first major game companies at the start of the year that said, "Oh, we're laying off like 1,000 people or whatever the fuck," right? I think once that happens, all these other companies are like, "Oh, dude, we got to get in now," right? Because like once you start seeing these articles about it being a trend, now it's like, well, we could just get away with it. We're just part of the trend. So let's jump on all these layoffs.
I mean,
because it's always in people's minds, right? These companies
it's about doing it at a time where
pressure, right, from investors are like, oh, how are you gonna like make up these losses? And so everyone kind of like jumps on at the same time because now that's when you get away with it. The first one's the hardest, right? In terms of like PR for these companies,
somebody's got to step off the cliff first, and then everybody else can just follow behind.
Yeah, the same thing was happening last year after the pandemic with the tech sector. Like every company was deciding, oh, well, we can't keep these employees on. We might as well just, for a stock price, go ahead and just lay them off.
While we're just kind of like randomly throwing out headlines that caught our eye, did y'all see Warner Brothers today?
Oh God.
Warner Brothers, correct me if I'm wrong, but Warner Brothers is the publisher of Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League. Mm-hmm. Warner Brothers said the future for Warner Brothers is live service games. They're doubling down on live service games, and they're talking about turning all of their major franchises into live service games. That includes Harry Potter, Mortal Kombat, help me out.
Anything under the sun, they potentially want to do.
I mean, they have Lord of the Rings. They have so much big IP, and after the disastrous launch and reception of Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League, they decided they were just gonna fucking double down on that. I don't like this timeline. I fucking hate this timeline.
Specifically, they are saying,
was it just like a fuck you from like the guy in charge?
I mean,
like,
maybe.
I don't give a shit they are pissed about Suicide Squad. This is our future, motherfuckers.
I kind of hope there's because they have to deal with investors, right? So I'm hoping investors can give them pushback and be like, "What are you talking about? This other game that you've convinced us to help fund over the past 7 or 8 years just flopped tremendously. What are you doing?"
No, the investors don't give a shit. They're just in it for the dollar.
Well, I know, but
they're also looking at Helldivers, right, and saying, "Dang."
I know, but
or Pal World, right? Or it's true that it was a flop, but live service games are also still the ones that are being these breakout hits.
I could see it for something like Mortal Kombat. It's kind of a bummer because I'm sitting here, Hogwarts Legacy is one of the biggest selling games last year, and I was like, it's a very flawed game, but like if they made a sequel, it could improve tremendously. And now they're just going to turn it into a games as a service game, along with like Lord of the Rings and
Well, just to
you know,
be
I keep
specific about the terminology they were using, they were saying they were going to reframe around free to play and mobile. So
that does
like
not help.
it's
That does not
no,
make
it
me
does
feel
it
any
does not
better.
help. I'm just saying that like
That's a big difference.
yeah, that is a big difference there.
You
And
know what
also
that
with
actually
live
tells
service
me?
games, like the big popular ones right now are Hellblade or Helldivers 2 and Power World, but those are popular at launch. Like the thing with a live service game is that you got to have it be profitable 6, 12, 18, 24 months down the road. And
Yeah.
like
You know what?
there's
The
no
pivot to
guarantee
mobile.
with most service games like that.
You know what the pivot to mobile tells me? It,
Hmm.
I think it is like telling. The Suicide Squad flop means that, so Warner Brothers is like, big IP, right? Licensed games, right? It's their licenses, but for a very long time, like back in the day, they were like, these console games, slightly lower budget, didn't get great scores, people kind of bought them, but they didn't set the world on fire. And then when like mobile phones became a big thing, you saw a lot of the licensed games just become like mobile games, and you stopped seeing a lot like big budget licensed games on consoles. And I think more recently, probably because of like the MCU boom and stuff, you started seeing a lot of that stuff come back to consoles and go away from like the mobile shit. I mean, the mobile shit never really went away, but something tells me it always did pretty okay, right? But now with a huge flop like Suicide Squad, to me that tells Warner Brothers this was a mistake. Let's get back to mobile with this licensed bullshit, right? Where we don't have to spend a lot of money making the game. Don't have to spend a lot of time making the game. You can have like a Marvel Snap, be a phenomenon for a few months and make a shit ton of money or whatever.
I think the plan is like it's like pump and dump shit. It's like how many
Uh-huh.
can we put out, and eventually one of them will be a hit. And at the end of the day, it's a numbers game. Eventually they'll put out one that makes them enough money that all the other ones are irrelevant, that they lost a shit ton of money on, because this one makes up for the rest of them.
Mm-hmm. That's what like
I-
Niantic did, right? After Pokemon Go, it's like, let's just keep making all these like Pokemon Go
And
likes with all
not a
these other
single
properties.
one has been successful.
Not nothing like Pokemon Go. I think the Monster Hunter one's like pretty popular, but I'm saying like it's like they were just looking for that another golden goose, and they were like they could throw out as many of them as they could because only one of them really had to hit, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so
It's lower risk. The mobile arena is much lower risk with high payout potentially. So I get it.
I
I
think
don't
the
think
only
you're gonna see like another big budget one of these out of Warner Brothers.
I think the
Flipper
only big
Steps.
budget one we're going to see that is a single player experience is going to be Wonder Woman. Other than that,
I'm
like
thinking-
from the back catalog of all the studios WB owns, like
Well, that's probably because it's already in development and they're just gonna finish it out the way they started
that's
it.
a maybe
Also-
though, man.
That IP fucking dire, right? I bet when they started like in the concept phase or whatever, they greenlit the project. Wonder Woman, maybe it was just that first movie was out, right? And that was like hot shit, right? And since then, the second movie came out, and everyone was kind of like, and the whole like promise of maybe the DC universe becoming something that people cared about, really kind of.
I mean, they're
got
rebooting
squandered.
they're rebooting the entire DC universe now, and
What the fuck does that mean? They've been
No,
literally
no.
doing that. It's seemingly
No.
like with every movie for the past decade.
no, literally, they hired James Gunn, who did Guardians of the Galaxy, to reboot and remap the entire
Yeah.
universe. Like,
Didn't a
they
new
were-
Aquaman movie just come out?
no,
That's,
and that was
that's the last one in that franchise.
that is the final DC
Snyderverse
movie
film.
set in the Zack Snyder universe. And James Gunn is actually started filming Superman this
Oh.
week, like the first Superman movie in this new
Yeah.
universe.
I feel like you could have told me that article 5 years ago, and I feel like I read that 5 years ago. What the fuck?
I mean they made that announcement like a year and a half, 2 years ago, and he's been talking about the plans to to do all this and how
But
they're
you've been
handling
seeing all this
everything.
new DC shit over the past couple years that seems like it's You know,
I don't know.
like Suicide
Blue
Squad,
Beetle, Blue Beetle, Suicide Squad.
Peacemaker.
Oof,
Dude,
man,
that
Blue Beetle.
Suicide Squad movie was directed by James Gunn, and that is the movie
Yeah.
that got him the gig. That is the
No, I
movie that
know, but
they.
I'm saying like I feel like there's been DC movies that have been coming out for the past couple of years that seem like they're not related to these Zack Snyder game movies at all.
No, you're right.
So like,
You're right.
'cause there's been new Batmans and shit. Like, and
Listen. I know you don't really give a shit about all this, so I don't even want to necessarily go into like the logistics of this. But like,
what the fuck does that mean?
I'm saying you're not super invested in the DC universe. You're probably, I feel like you're just gonna kind of shrug it off anyways. But like, when this whole announcement was made, James Gunn was answering questions, talking about his plan, which movies he's making, the different like, you know how they talk about Marvel in terms of sagas, or what's the term what they use in Marvel, where they're the generations
or
of
Star Wars, if you will.
no, listen. I mean, like, they call like
Phases.
phases, right? He's talking about the different phases, and they asked like, so what about the Batman, which was with the Batman with God, I cannot fucking think today.
Robert
Yet
Pattinson.
Yeah,
another Batman. I
that
remember.
that is an alternate universe. That is
The Joker, right?
that is not connected to his DC. Like there's going to be a new Batman for that universe that is completely separate from Robert Pattinson's
Same
Batman.
with that Joaquin Phoenix Joker shit, right?
Yes, Joaquin
Yeah,
Phoenix.
That's kind of what I'm
Joker.
talking about. I feel like there's been so much of this stuff in recent years. So
But I'm
to
saying,
say
like,
there's yet another phase. It's
No,
like,
no.
okay, buddy, you've
What
done
my-
this
what
so
I'm
many
saying
organized
is-
like that.
What I'm saying is, prior to this announcement where they hired James Gunn, they literally hired James Gunn to come on and treat it like Kevin Feige did Marvel. Because before that, they didn't have a roadmap. They were just like shooting shit off, firing from the hip, trying to like course correct after things that didn't work with Zack Snyder's universe, and it was just a huge fucking mess. So they said, we're after this Aquaman movie comes out, we're scrapping everything, and James Gunn is starting a new timeline with a new cast, a new everything, and we're
Okay.
gonna take it from there. That is
Here's
their
the
plan.
thing, Nick. And I know I'm the pessimist. I feel like you're drinking the Kool-Aid a little bit.
No,
I
no,
feel
I'm
like
just
with
trying to
every
explain it.
new one of
I'm
these
just trying to
new
explain it.
DC movies, I feel like it's always the potential for like the start of something new. If one of these fucking James Gunn like movies comes out and it's just like it sucks or something, they'll just be like, fuck it, we're gonna start a new universe in a couple of years again. You know, I feel like this has been happening. You know what I mean? Remember the mummy when they announced like
Yes,
the
yes, I remember
Mummyverse,
the Dark Universe. Yes.
Yeah, it's like do it, stop it until one of these movies comes out and people actually care
Look.
and it actually makes a couple $1 billion. Fucking stop it.
Look,
So-
listen, I'm not trying to quote unquote drink the Kool-Aid. I'm just trying to, because you clearly weren't familiar with this announcement, this plan. I was just trying to bring you up to speed with what's happening. I'm not saying it's going to be successful or not, but I certainly have a lot more faith in James Gunn as far as making superhero movies than I ever did with Zack Snyder. So,
But I don't think it's only been them two, but okay.
well, no, but like he is directing the new Superman movie, and that cast looks pretty legit. And I've
Nolan?
liked whatever. Sorry, go ahead, Nolan.
I have thoughts and comments. I saw obviously no one here has seen Madam Web, correct?
No.
Or maybe Nick did. Okay.
No.
And so that's fine. Obviously, we've all heard it's not very good. But I saw some comment that Dakota Johnson made, and apparently this whole thing obviously is a cluster. But obviously it seems like she just as a person is pretty like just straightforward. But she was apparently making some comment about how she kind of knew it wasn't going to be good, and she doesn't like the direction the industry is going because it seemed more and more every day committees are kind of taking over what's good, what's the thing, what's this is
by committee.
There's an episode of Barry. I don't know if anyone has seen Barry, and I want to say it's season 4. Maybe it was season 3. I can't remember. Where one of the characters is trying to make it in the industry, and so they have a pilot. Pilot super successful. It's like a 98 in Rotten Tomatoes. They're making that a big deal. Blah blah blah. All this stuff. They're so excited. They go and they refresh Netflix or whatever, and it's gone. And they're like, "Where is it?" They're like, "What the fuck's going on?" They go to the studio and they're like, "Oh, put it through the committee through like this algorithm. Said it was going to do good, so we're cutting it." I'm like, "What the fuck are you talking about? People love it." And they're like, "But the algorithm, the stats on it, it's not good or whatever." Blah blah blah. And that's what honestly, and obviously they're making that as a observational reference for the industry, but just like more and more so, people lately have been these movies that are built off a community, like so many people, it just doesn't go very well. It's when there is a single director or a couple directors, it's fine, but like a core staff of people and artists that make a passion project, it comes out good, and people can see, and it doesn't pass that sniff test when you have something that was, it feels like they spent 100 hours debating on the shades of red for their cape, because what's the most pleasing for people or whatever. And I happened to see something that, and I have not validated this. It's just an article I saw on this thing called the internet. But someone had put up all of the Arkham games, Gotham Knight, Suicide Squad, whatever, and it was like Batman: Arkham Asylum. There were 2 writers on that game. Arkham City had 3 writers. Origins had 5 writers. Arkham Knights had 7 writers. Gotham Knights had 14 writers. 2 of which were from Sweet Baby Inc., which is that like outsourcing firm that you can outsource like writers to help you with your story or whatever. Yeah. Suicide Squad killed it. Suicide Squad had 26 writers on that game, half of which were from Sweet Baby Inc. And so it's like one of those things where it's like, what the, like, it just, it's just when you spread things that thin, and when so many people have their hands in it, like, what the fuck is going on, man? Yeah, too many cooks in the kitchen for sure.
That's wild. I didn't know that.
Like that. Yeah,
that's why I don't believe James Gunn can do
no. Look, and I'm not saying. Look, I'm not saying in support of James Gunn or likewise. Who the fuck knows how this is going to turn out? All I know is that I liked the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, and I liked Suicide Squad more than
that third one too, right? Didn't that one?
Yeah.
I never watched it. Wasn't it kind of mid?
No, I think a lot of people really liked that.
The third what?
The third Guardians of the Galaxy movie. I could be wrong, but I think that one.
No, the third one was pretty good. Yeah, I liked it.
I didn't watch it.
I mean, yeah, all
Cosmo
3 of those
was great.
I think are pretty well received.
Maybe I should watch it. Damn.
Maybe you should. Anyways, before I want to at least talk a little bit about Rebirth before we cut to break, because I know we're like 45 minutes into this episode and we haven't said a damn thing about Rebirth. So what are you? Unless y'all have any objections, why don't we jump in there?
Guardians of the Galaxy has a 94% audience score for like an MCU movie. I feel like that's pretty strong, right?
I mean, it's certainly not
these days.
These days, yes, it is not as consistent as it once was. That is correct. Brad, are you ready to talk about Rebirth?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. I don't even know where to start with this. It's a big game.
Start with the birth of. I don't know. Where do we start?
Yeah, it's okay.
1997. 1990. With the
So,
release
obviously-
of Final Fantasy.
I guess for starters, it is worth mentioning that Final Fantasy VII is one of the most beloved RPGs ever made. Depending on who you ask, and they obviously
Certainly a cultural phenomenon.
And we've been leading up to the part 1 of the remake. Obviously, nobody really knew what to expect from this remake, and obviously they're splitting it into multiple parts. But Rebirth, by the way, I did finish playing that intermission DLC, which was pretty good with Yuffie.
It sort of fizzled out, like they didn't finish it.
Yeah, it certainly felt like. I mean, it was almost like, why do they even bother putting so much effort into like the materia and like the systems and stuff?
Who's the character with the white hair, the white spiky hair?
Sanan, her
No,
pal,
I'm talking
like her
about
buddy,
the guy with the white spiky hair. Who the fuck was that?
in intermission.
Yeah.
I don't know who you're talking about, unless you're talking about Sephiroth.
Yeah.
Well, that's the kind of impression he left on you, Nick. Didn't you just play that?
Yeah, I don't remember. Are you?
I think
Whatever.
you're misthinking of a
Do
character.
not say
there, Brad.
Sanan again, who did not
I don't
have
know
white
who you're
spiky hair.
talking about. I don't know who you're talking about. Literally have no
Okay,
idea.
well, Nero, apparently.
Oh,
Nero.
you mean the Kingdom Hearts looking
the
dude that
guy
you fight
with
at
the
the end?
white spiky hair.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I didn't notice his hair color. So,
He
but yeah, the
doesn't
guy,
see hair color.
the
Okay.
guy and all the guy wrapped up in all the bondage belts and shit. That looked
was
very much like looked like a Kingdom Hearts character. Yeah, that was kind of strange.
The Nomura
Ay,
character.
ay, ay.
But
Oh,
anyways.
he's from Dirge of Cerberus. That is the problem with this
Oh my
fucking
god!
movie.
no.
This is
Really?
the shit.
Really?
They could have kept it just like they could have stayed pure, but it had to be like season 3 of The Mandalorian or whatever the fuck. It couldn't have just
I
be
liked
season 1
season
of The
3 of The
Mandalorian. It had to. They just have to ruin it. They have to bring everybody in, extended universe, and the cartoons and everything, and that's what they're doing with Final Fantasy when they didn't have to. Remake was a smart idea. It was, well,
Brett
obviously.
sounds like old man yelling at son or
No,
whatever.
I mean their approach to Final Fantasy with that first game had a lot of promise. We all got a little like uneasy at the beginning, at the end, right? Because like, oh,
It goes a little.
someone whip Nomura back into your cage. Stop it, stop it. You have a cool idea here. Stop it. And I feel like they just wanted to get their. We got to get some Dirge of Cerberus characters in there and Crisis Core characters, and I feel like they're gonna ruin it. They had such a cool idea, and they're
Well,
gonna ruin it.
look.
And I'm
Look,
so
we are-
scared. I'm so scared.
Look, we are not here. Obviously, this is going to be our first time talking about Rebirth as a game, so none of us have finished the game.
No.
And I'm sure these conversations will come later. Right now, I want to talk about what we have played, what we do now know about this game, which, as you mentioned earlier during the Fancy Critic segment, has been very positively received.
Yeah, but those scores mean nothing.
What the?
What, Brad?
We'll see.
You
We'll
gotta
see.
take
the real
fucking Fancy Critic out of
conversation in
this.
terms of like the wider scope is going to come like 3 months from now when everyone decides if they still love it or they hate it with a passion now, which happens to every Final Fantasy.
Well,
When
I don't
16
think.
came out, everyone was playing like, "Duh, the shit is crazy," and then like a month later, everyone was like, "That was dog shit."
I don't think everyone was that crazy when
I
16
mean-
came out. I think they were like, "Hey, this seems pretty good." I don't think
Yeah,
anyone
you
was
may be
ever
right.
like
Also-
that insane.
But the
Yeah.
reviews were like really high. Like crazy
Also,
high, right?
look. I'm also a little concerned that maybe my negativity is kind of bleeding in here a little bit because there are a lot of
Sure.
people who really enjoyed 16, and I don't blame them.
Uh,
Look,
I mean, of course,
and
but like
and
it's the kind of thing where you ask around and everyone's like,
historically
"Mm."
speaking, I think Final Fantasy games have gotten they have aged well. Like there are people, remember all the shit people talk about Final Fantasy 13? You talk to people who are consider themselves Final Fantasy fans now, and you ask them about Final Fantasy 13, a lot of them are really positive about it.
don't know who
Like,
you're
I
talking
don't
to.
think I don't think there's a lot of games in the Final Fantasy series as a whole that have been looked at in a very negative light for an extended period of time. I think most games
I
are,
gotcha.
and part 1 of Remake has been out for 2
But see,
years now.
that's
People
one.
still
That's
love
the
that game.
one that has held up, right? That's the one that I feel like your comments about side quests or whatever the fuck aside. Like generally, people were high on that game when it released, and they stayed high on it. It didn't have the sort of backlash that 13 had and 15 had and 16 had and all this other Square Enix bullshit that has come out in the past decade or 2 at this point has had. Like remakes stayed like, dude, good vibes. We feel good about this. We're excited for the next one. And all I'm saying is that, and I notice other people noticing it and saying it as well, is they see the scores, but they look around and they're like, dude, like people are kind of like complaining about this fucking game, which in a way that I did not hear them complaining about Remake. It's
Well, are we here to talk about those people's opinions of the game,
No,
or are
we're
we here to talk
not.
about our own?
we could talk about our own, and let me tell you, it's not 93.
Okay,
It's fun though. It's
Can we
fun
just
game, 93.
remove Fantasy Critic from this entire conversation?
We're not even talking about Fantasy Critic. We're
It
talking
feels
about
like it, man.
we're not talking about Fantasy Critic. We're talking about like how fans and critics feel about this series, which is a very complicated thing. This is a series with a lot of baggage and a lot of like expectations. And
I just want to point out that prior to the release of this game, I expressed maybe some. I don't know if I'm convinced, or I'm not entirely sure if this is going to be great. And you like talked to me. You basically said I was crazy. Look at this.
I told you that was a Fantasy Critic decision, and I fucking broke it down like a fucking formula as to why this thing is going to score a 93, basically, and it did. But we're not
No,
talking
dude,
about that. I'm
no, no.
talking about the way people feel about this game.
I'm talking about when I said I wasn't entirely sure, not Fantasy Critic related at all. I was like, I'm not entirely sure how I feel about the direction of Final Fantasy as a series has gone, and I don't necessarily feel super hyped about this. We were talking about hype, and this was like right after they showed that they did
Yeah.
they released the demo and they showed that like 20-minute
All kinds of like
presentation,
mini
right? All kinds
games
of
and
shit, right?
shit. There's so much
And
variety.
and you told me that I was crazy because look
Yeah.
at this footage. This looks
Yes.
amazing. And
Yes.
now that it's
hold
out,
on, Nick. Yellow lines though. Come on, man.
Yeah,
and
no,
now,
that's pretty dog shit. This experience has been something that has had really high highs and really low lows. And I haven't seen a lot of the stuff that was in that footage because, I'm playing a map game. I mean, an Ubisoft check mark game
this is
right
one thing.
now.
Okay, listen. This is one thing I kind of wanted to talk about a little bit because
having a
I knew
Which
no,
thing?
I knew the whole because Brad's inevitably bringing up the map game thing, right? And he's saying it with
Yeah.
such negative fervor. And I'm
I'm
gonna be
sorry,
honest.
what's the map game thing? I'm sorry.
He's comparing it to a Ubisoft game where it's a map and you find all the icons on the
Lots
map
of
and
different kinds of icons going
Like
to
a
the different.
collectathon?
Here's this type of icon. Go here to do this type
Yes.
of side quest. That sort of thing.
And I think, and while that's a fair criticism, I do there are games are designed and tailored towards people with like varied like different personalities when it comes to game, because like you talk about that and that is the shit that I just happily spent my entire weekend doing and I
Me
loved
too.
it.
You didn't let me finish. I'm having a good time with that stuff. Like I think it's so this is a complicated game, and everyone wants us to see. I fucking hate this game. I fucking love this game. Shut the fuck up if it's not love or hate, because we don't want to have to think, But truth
That's
is,
not
this
what
is a
I'm
very
saying, by the way.
complicated. Like I know I didn't say you were saying it. I think it's I have a lot of complicated feelings about this game. Of course, I think we all do, and like that. So I think at the same time, I believe that this open world shit is like feels like 10 years old,
It does.
but at the same time, I think it's really addictive, and I think it's pretty fun because at the same time, a modern one of those is like a bloated 150-hour experience if you try to do everything. But this game, it feels more manageable because it's like a decade old, right? There's a lot of shit, but there's not like so much shit that it's like unreasonable, right? Like
Right.
100%ing an area is actually fairly manageable. I mean, the game's still probably going to take you 80 hours, but it's not going to take you 200 hours like a current day Ubisoft game, right?
It is not
I think
hard
that
to
helps.
complete a
I think that
region.
helps.
It's like
I
maybe
spent
several hours.
I spent 10 hours this weekend, for example. I played the game for about 12 hours over the weekend, and I spent 10 of those hours almost entirely doing the quote unquote open world stuff in that first
Can-
major region in the grasslands.
Can I ask a question?
Yes,
Because
of
I'm a
course.
little lost.
Please do.
It seems like Brad is complaining about this, but saying he likes it at the same time.
Yeah, crazy.
Complexity.
Well, I'm confused because it seems like hold on. Well, yeah, but it seems like you're talking about how the map it's Ubisoft. The map is littered with icons and go here and do this and blah 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 and all this stuff. And the only game I'm currently playing is a game called Yakuza, and that is exactly what Yakuza
It's
is.
very
And the crazy
Yakuza.
thing about it is in Yakuza, the icons don't even disappear because a lot of them are like Sujimon trainers, and as soon as you fight them, 5 minutes later, that trainer pops back up again. So it's not even like you're getting that feeling. And don't get me wrong, the whole point is just so you can battle them again to get more experience, whatever, that's fine. But like I'm saying, the whole point is it's not even like you're cleaning up the map because there's still shit there. And so that's why I was saying I'm a little confused because it seems like you're complaining about that,
No.
in one of the
I'll
games you love the most
explain.
has it as well. Okay.
It's interesting you bring up Yakuza, right? Because Yakuza has, to me, I've always considered it like a pretty flawed series that I love. But they've also had so many games to kind of refine that, and it still has issues. But like they've got like this series used to be fucking like a chore to play because of a lot. They were really bad at those things at first. To me, this feels like, and I guess it is their first attempt at like this open world thing, right? So it's like super, it's fun and compelling like an open world game can be, and addictive like an open world game can be, but you run into so many weird little roadblocks of like, dude, this is your first time doing this shit, and like this is why, and this is why, and this is why, and it's like it's crazy, right? So there's so much friction, like uncomfortable, awkward friction. At the same time, you're playing this game that feels like the most expensive game ever made, and and it's wonderful, right? Because I mean, again, it's complex, right?
Real quick,
Like,
can I interject here?
I think like really wrote side quests can end in like really awesome little character moments, and it makes me want to always do them because I really love these characters, and they're doing a really good job at creating these little character moments. And to me, it's like, okay, what I just did was pretty like whatever, and writing the chocobo there was sort of jank because I don't know, it's the first time they ever did something like this. But you know what? It was worth it because I had a cool little moment with Tifa, and that was awesome. And that's why I love Remake, and that's why I'm probably going to end up loving this. It's complicated.
To kind of expand on that, because you're absolutely right when you say this feels like maybe a 10-year-old open world game, because it very much does. And as someone who plays a
10-year-old.
Yes, as someone who plays a lot of open world games, in fact, I would say it's one of my favorite quote unquote genres or types of video games. I love open world games. I'm playing this, and of course, in my head, I'm making all kinds of like random connections or comparisons to games that I think are much smoother experiences, much more organic open world experiences. But what I think is kind of helping push me through these areas and kind of forgive some of the janky or the awkwardness, I suppose, because you're right, it is
the
awkward.
Slowness. Let me tell you,
the
some things in this game are so fucking unexplainably slow.
My God,
having to sit and listen. Having to sit and listen to Chadley talk before I can even move my character is the most obnoxious thing in the world.
Take the worst character from Rebirth that they introduced, and then
Remake.
make the entire game. If you are not doing literally the main quest, anything else in the game, Chadley is like front and center. This might as well be called Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 Chadley. Because it's everything. Everything
of the
that
open
is optional
world
in the open world is Chadley related. Every time Cloud pulls out that fucking device to look at Chadley, I want to scream. It's insane. So it's fun, and I love having a moment with. Let me tell you, the Eris and Tifa friendship is like one of the best things
I preferred it when you called it the sisterhood. The
fucking sisterhood. That relationship,
the sisterhood, the traveling material.
Best character relationships I've ever seen in a video game. I adore it. But the game says, well, if you want to play this big open world game, you gotta fucking spend like, you know, way more time looking at Chadley and listening to Chadley, and it's fucking insane. It's insane. They could have easily not brought that character back and no one would have been sad, but they made a whole game about Chadley. What the fuck?
So let me get this in. So my problem is I'm fine with the open world activities that happen. My problem is the balance of this JRPG having this lopsided deal of all these random activities versus side quests, like narrative content to do. Every large area you go to, because there are segmented areas, every one of them you go to, there's like 20 or so activities to do, but there's maybe like 3 or 4 side quests at most. And they end up being either A, go to this area and kill this monster, or B, go pick up this item and bring it back.
Guys, this is fucking exactly what I said about Remake and what I hated about it, and y'all talked to me like I'm fucking crazy. This is
the problem, is that this is, for better or worse, this is the direct continuation in gameplay design and ideas and everything from Remake.
Yeah, but
just in an open segmented world area.
But the difference is there was very little of it. It felt so very optional.
Now there's more of it.
And like the linear story was the driving force of that first game.
Yes.
So to think that like a mid side quest, which also did lead to cool character moments in that last game.
Absolutely.
But like it seemed like something that was kind of hard to complain about, in my opinion. But in this one, the whole promise of like all the shit to do in this world, it is like blown up so much bigger. So like it is more of like a judging the side quest does feel like kind of judging the game a little bit more.
Okay, but listen, I want to cut to a break here in a second, but
it's uneven.
It's an uneven game. But here's what I'll say.
Messy.
As maybe a final thought before we cut to break. We'll talk about it more when we come back. But the saving grace, the thing that I think makes all of these complaints that we've already voiced here an easier pill to swallow, and why it has not stopped me from it. I have not felt the same level of frustration I did playing 16 or 15 or any of that stuff, is because it's interwoven with so much, and this is going to have a negative connotation, and I'm sorry. It's interwoven with so much brilliant nostalgia that
I mean, the nostalgia carries a lot, especially the soundtrack, honestly.
Just like when I first stepped foot into Calm, I was like, I had a thought, and I tweeted this. I had a thought that I haven't had while playing a Final Fantasy game since probably 10 or maybe 12, and that was, holy fuck, I would love to live here. This is just delightful. Like, this is so beautiful and charming and whimsical. I love it, and I haven't felt that way about a Final Fantasy game in so long.
It's not just nostalgia, but like,
I'm not saying it's
this game
only
is getting a
nostalgia.
lot of mileage out of like silly, lighthearted moments, and where Final Fantasy 16 could not. Right, so like little random side quest asides felt like you're wasting my fucking time. Like the biggest thing in the world is happening, and this stuff feels like stupid. But in this game, it's like, well, that was a fun, silly moment because this is a fun, silly game, and I'm here for it, right? Like in Calm, the best part was the fucking Queen's Blood lady who had a wall of boxes around her, and then that was insane. It was insane. These kinds of little moments. Shout out. We do need to go to break because I do have more complaints about like systems and stuff, right?
Oh, we're gonna talk about that for sure.
What I also love about Remake and this one, and the promise of like it's a remake of an existing game, right? And there's lots of weird little things in that existing game. And if you look in the last game, you could think of like the Hell House, how they blew that up into like some crazy thing. But in this one, they took some of like the weird characters that you get into like random battles right outside of Midgar, which are these like bandit, like biker characters. I don't know if you even remember them, but they were just like weird little random encounters that you would have like any other like enemy encounter. And they just seem so like, why are there
forgettable
like these weird biker bandits here? They turn those characters into like this whole like side quest storyline. They blew it up.
Beck's
it's insane
game?
Because it is befitting of characters that look like that. Like it's insane that they were there in the first place. So if they're going to be in this game because it's a remake, then we got to make some insane bullshit. And they did, and they went in on insane bullshit, and I love that.
I think the expectation going into this, especially before we got part 1, was that you can't possibly remake this 1-to-1. So like there's going to be a lot of stuff on the cutting room floor, right?
Of course.
But like surprisingly, there's not nearly as much as we thought.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the stuff has just been retooled or repositioned or just reframed in a new way. But like every little piece, every little detail that you kind of like loved, or even if it was just like casually, it was like, oh, I appreciate that from the first game, has somehow found its way in here in like unexpected ways, and that is kind of
the best promise of this project.
And I think they're so far from what I've played, they're pulling that off. But okay, let's take a break. When we come back, there's still good and bad to talk about with Rebirth. So we'll carry this conversation further when we come back on the other side. If you're watching us live on Twitch or YouTube, I forgot to mention that, guys. Again, this is our second week streaming on YouTube. If you prefer watching on YouTube, check us out there. We're live right now. So just keep that. I don't know how long we're going to do this, but if you want to see us keep streaming on YouTube, maybe prioritize watching us there for a little bit. But anyways, we'll be back in just a couple minutes to talk more about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So if you're watching, don't go anywhere. We'll be back.
Yeah, we still got to talk about brilliant stuff like the folios. What?
Well, I mean,
I will be back.
Folios existed in Rebirth or Remake, so
we gotta talk about it. The dumbest shit.
Well,
to take something that was brilliant and worked and make it ruin it all.
Save it for the show.
Yeah.
We didn't. There's so much slow shit in this game. It is fucking absurd. Oh,
Save it for the
my
show because I've got
God.
things
Do you-
to get off my
Oh,
chest
we're gonna
about
talk
that.
about that
no,
more?
we can't cover. We already talked about.
I thought
slow
we already
shit.
talked about this. So I have a question. Obviously, I've not played this game. So you're talking about just like long like conversations or cutscenes that you can't skip, and it's just like drawn out. Is that what y'all are talking
So-
about?
It's
I've been talking
think about like forced sections of just walking.
Hmm.
There is so much of that in this game.
No,
Like-
that's not even the problem. All modern games have that problem. Fucking God of War. The problem is take like a sequence where you are doing something slow in like a God of War, right? You know, where you're crawling through a crack or some shit, now divide that by 4, and that's how slow it is in Rebirth. Like it's insane. Why? Like it's honestly bizarre. Like
have
why
we
is
talked about
this
that?
so
Those
slow?
are like hidden loading screens. Is that what you're talking about? Or
No, this does not. There are
No.
times where it is nothing to do with loading. It doesn't make any fucking sense why something is so slow. Like there's a part in the flashback where you have to move those little blocks that suck up the Mako like the vacuums or whatever.
yeah. Oh yeah, I did that
And
in
like
the
just
demo,
moving
yeah.
those around, like why is this so slow? I don't understand.
they
Nothing's
somehow
loading
made
here.
it
I'm
worse
not
than
leaving
this.
this room.
Wow.
It's bizarre. Or like moving the mine carts in like the Mithril mines, or
Oh, I want to bring that
the
up.
part where you're walking over the boards in calm to like
Mhm.
escape. It's
Mhm.
so fucking
There's so much
slow.
Interesting.
Like limping. Remember when Cloud was limping in Nibelheim?
Mhm.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
That was
I'm
the
curious as
slowest movement
to
I've ever seen in a video game.
I'm curious as if they'll get like maybe a lot of backlash on that, and maybe they'll put out a patch to just like speed some of it up.
I mean, I've seen
No.
them do stuff like that. I don't
I
understand
don't
how
think they
the
will.
climbing. It is not just that there's yellow paint. It is that this is like the first time a game has ever had climbing in it. Like
Mhm.
it's like they saw it in another game do it in a video and said, "I guess we'll do that." And it's like one path. Like getting from notch to notch takes forever and is very awkward. They're all like blatantly yellow. Like it's so like you don't even need to color it because the things that you're grabbing on is so like not even close to anything you've seen in the game up to that point. Not close to anything even remotely like the texture that they're actually on. It's just a fucking ladder basically,
What?
and yet they paint them yellow anyways. And it's like,
So,
and it's so
I
slow.
people bitching about the yellow has kind of gotten I get where they're coming from, because I've seen lots of not necessarily studies, but stuff coming out of like playtests and stuff. And the problem is if it's not yellow, people don't know what the fuck to do. And you say like, oh, it's so easy, blah blah blah. But trust me, as someone who part of my job is developing tools that other people use, it's the whole fucking Men in Black thing. Persons are smart, people are dumb. When you expose something to one person, maybe it makes sense, but when you expose it to hundreds or 1,000 people, holy shit! The way people interact with stuff sometimes, it's like, what the fuck are you doing, man? It's
I know
right in front of you.
exactly what you're
You could have a
saying.
blinking arrow that says, "Hey, here, do this thing," and they're like, I don't know what to do. Like
I know
literally,
exactly what you're saying.
I develop tools sometimes for my work, and I do stuff, and literally, people will send me a screenshot of an error message that says, "Hey, it's broken. I don't know what to do." And the first line of the message is, "Do this to fix it." And I'm like, "Hey, did you do that to fix it?" And they're like, "No, I haven't tried that yet." I'm like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" So yeah,
I
I
know.
get it why they have to put the yellow paint there, because if they didn't, people wouldn't know what the fuck to do.
You are making the argument for the other modern games that have it, and I agree with you. This is not that. This is like a weird, crazy person's opinion, like vision of that from like 100 feet away and minus 10 years. It is in. This does not need that argument. It is actually, you have no idea what you're doing. This is clearly the first time you did this. And did you even play the game that gave you this idea? It is crazy how slow and clunky it is.
I wasn't talking about that.
Remember when you were
If it really is that slow and clunky, yeah, that I could imagine that.
you'll
being
see it. I mean,
horrible.
you'll eventually get around to playing this game. And
Well, I'm hoping they patch
your
the game
mind
before
will
I get
be
there.
fucking blown. And it's not even like I said, it's not even
They're
so
not
much
gonna
about the
patch
yellow
that.
paint. It's about like
They better.
not only is this slow, not only is the yellow paint not necessary, only is this whole climbing sequence seem pointless, but to have the thing where like there's one ledge that's like slightly to the left above me, and I'm not holding like perfectly in that direction. Like this is shit that was figured out so long ago. It feels like the first time a developer has ever implemented something like this in a
that stuff
video
does
game.
suck.
It is fucking crazy.
BRB.
And again, these things compound, and there's so much like exciting, charming, brilliant stuff in there that when you run into this shit, it's like, what the fuck were you thinking? This is crazy.
Thank you.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. Good girl. All right.
What's up, everybody? Anybody lurking? Any lurkers want to say hello in either channel? I have both chats pulled up. I see Flip Party and Eric Polanco in YouTube, self-tormenting in YouTube. We're up to 22 people on YouTube. That's not terrible. Ash, I don't know. I don't know if some of these people are just using different names on YouTube or what, but hello. I see Bombader, Zero Skies, Resting Bird.
Bombader.
Bombader? What?
Bombardier.
That can't be right.
Big Wazoo, Grey Woos.
It's the same chuckle fucks we always say.
That's not.
I'm just kidding. You know, I'm subscribed to
Weeaboo Pleb.
Oh, you have to click the subscriptions tab to see that we're live, which I've heard that like 93% or something of people who consume YouTube stuff don't click their subscriptions tab. They just look at the stuff on their home.
I mean, here's the
makes
thing
sense.
is that because of our Patreon, I don't monetize our YouTube content. So YouTube has no incentive to put us on the front page for any of our subscribers.
I mean,
Front page.
what's up, Eki? Eki Bert.
Do lives even show up on the home page?
Yeah.
They show up on our homepage, yeah.
No, I mean like YouTube homepage.
Oh,
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you.
I've got a number of channels I've subscribed to that go live all the time. And yes, they pop up because they monetize. But we don't because we love our patrons who support us financially.
Shut the fuck up.
At 4pp.tv. Patreon.com/4player.
I don't know how much longer that Patreon's gonna be a thing. I don't know. Maybe we should just switch back to using Twitch subscriptions. I don't know. No, it all sucks. Algorithms everywhere fucking us.
Yeah.
The good thing is we don't have a lot of overhead these days, so
True.
Yeah, I mean, I do the show, and look, it's a hobby that I do because otherwise, you know, I probably wouldn't talk to you schmucks anymore. To be real, I'm just so fucking
Wow.
busy. So this gives me an excuse to talk to you schmucks. So, you know, come on, ride or die.
You need an excuse to talk to your friends. Wow.
ride or die.
Well, I mean, that's just how life is sometimes, you know?
Weeaboo got
Sometimes
a notification.
Sometimes you do need an excuse.
Okay. Oh, did I? Oh, I did not stop Audacity. I'll do that real quick now.
Thank you.
This bitch.
That means you haven't saved yet either. Save it out.
I'm saving it right now as I speak. Okay. Also, the clipping of the first sync didn't work. It didn't want to load it. So I might have to go back and manually grab that, but that's no issue.
Okay.
Just annoys me.
of the first sync.
Yeah, I capture a clip from the Twitch stream of the first sync, of us doing the
That
roll call.
man, fucking TDM, dude, in Discord. You know his dumbass like Tears of the Kingdom is like mid rant or whatever the fuck that he always says, and
Yeah.
like he brings it up as like a slight, right? Like, oh, but that game is poo doo, and this game is brilliant. And it got me thinking of like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. It feels like oh my god, right? Like effortless. They're like they didn't just reinvent Zelda. They just made like the best open world game and world map. Like they fucking shot they fucking knocked the ball out of the fucking galaxy, right? It's
When
crazy,
did we start
right?
calling him
Like,
TDM?
It's effortless how
That's a
much
good question. I don't
how much
know.
Yeah,
they fucking
that's a
like
Brad
nailed
thing.
an open world Zelda game, right? Like it's crazy. Like it feels so sophisticated, so much so that we started pointing at like Bethesda games and saying like, dude, y'all shit, this is the good shit. That shit was whack. This is the new shit. This is the new shit, right? Effortless. It felt
I knew
like
that was
how much
coming.
they
I knew that
nailed
was
an open
coming.
world game. And I look at this and I'm like, I mean, it's got a lot of charm, but this shit is old. Like we said, it feels dated, right? And to me, this is not like a Breath of the Wild for Final Fantasy at all. Like this, it feels like I guess they did it. They did an open world Final Fantasy again, but it's like it feels like it's just held together with mountains and mountains of cash. It's
Also, I didn't mention it earlier, but isn't this like the 4th open world Final Fantasy mainline game at this point?
I don't know. What does that even mean, open world? This isn't even open world. Whatever it is.
Technically, it is. In fact, I think as long as far as like being on a singular continent, you can run from one end of the grasslands to through the mines and into the Junon area. I
could
mean,
do
it's,
that. You could do
I
that in
hate
the old Final
to
Fantasy
break it
VII.
to you, but Final Fantasy VII didn't become open world till you got a fucking airship. And until I hop in an airship in these games and fly around to the grasslands and shit, like it ain't open world. It's just got
Damn.
big areas with very very fast travel. Thank God.
hey, Brad, just rein it in a little bit.
All right.
You're firing shots. You're taking shots at people.
He's been
Wait,
firing
wait,
shots
man.
since you left
What did I say?
for break.
I'll fire shots at drunken merchant all I want. This nonsense Zelda take. Come on. Is this what we're talking about here? Like, I'm just saying, Zelda felt like, holy shit, sophisticated, and is running on a Switch, and it feels like it's dancing all over the rest of the industry. You cannot say the same about this game. You might say that about like the quality and the money they're putting into like cutscenes and stuff, right? But like in terms of like the game world and stuff, they ain't dancing over anyone. It's kind of like how like it reminds me of a series like Yakuza, right? That it is evolving at its own pace, and they're making a lot of like smart changes from entry to entry, but it is still like in its own world, right? No one's going to compare a Yakuza game to like a Grand Theft Auto game, because that's not fair. But in terms of like on its own,
I am recording.
They're making a lot of strides. This feels like more like that, as opposed to like Breath of the Wild, which does feel like a Grand Theft Auto, like
I could mute him.
Like in terms of like the rest of the industry has to take notice now because this shit is wild. And yeah, I know this is good podcast content, but like I said, I could speak on this topic for hours, and I know I'm not going to get hours, so I'm saying them now.
No, I know. I'm just saying we could,
to the benefit of our live viewing audience.
I'm just saying that's fine, but we are now all sitting here and ready to go, so might as well just go.
I'm recording.
All right, everybody recording?
I am recording.
Maybe.
All right. Yeah. Let's do a roll call, starting with Brad Simons.
Hello.
Chris Davis.
Hello, this is Chris.
And Nolan Hedstrom.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Oh, that was a roll call. Oh, sorry. This is Nolan. I'm doing my roll call so Nick can find me. And
this is Brad. He's coming back in, so he does a longer thing so Nick can find him. Hey, find me, Nick. I'm over here.
Chris Davis, you got anything for me?
No, I've already said my piece. Let's just move on.
All right, hey everyone, welcome back to the show. As I said at the start of the show, the docket is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and we started the conversation in the last segment, so let's just press right on.
Okay, the Chocobo. Look, dude, the Chocobo in 15 and 16 did not feel this fucking jank. You could jump, you could glide in the last game. It was like smooth. They figured some shit out. They like unfigured it out for this game. All of a sudden, the Chocobo
Whoa.
way more clunky now, and
Whoa.
I don't understand. And where's the jump?
Hey, I'm gonna be honest. I did not see that coming because I've actually felt pretty good about.
It's okay. I mean, you could
about
be. Look, we're all having the honeymoon period. I like things too. It's fine.
No.
You cannot deny. You played all of 16. That shit, you could jump, you can glide. It was smooth. Here, it's like, dude, this thing is. I feel like it's barely hanging on. It's just gonna fly off into the fucking stratosphere at any moment. Like. It's like awkwardly like animating over rocks and shit, and it's like this shit feels hacked in. It feels hacked in. But like I'm saying, it wasn't like this in 16 and 15. Like this almost feels like a late edition. Like I don't understand some of the jank in this game.
Okay. I don't even know how to respond to that because like the Chocobo has been one of my favorite parts about this game up until this point.
It's fast. It
feels very responsive and it makes getting around the world easy. I mean,
this is the first Final Fantasy game in which I've actually given a shit about the Chocobo.
Well, the Chocobo does things now, which is cool, right? It's picking up shit. You're doing its weird little like I'm gonna smell for shit in the environment, and we're gonna find it. Which again, really slow and clunky, but it's neat.
That's the clunky part for me is when I'm trying to like be very precise about where I peck to like dig stuff up. You have to be positioned just right so that when you hit the button, his nose goes down right over where the thing is showing up, and that's super clunky. But like,
so the Chocobo can do a lot.
You telling me this Chocobo's got a loose pecker?
The Chocobo it moves fast in a straight line, and it can do a lot, and you use it a lot more. But like, it feels janky in a way that those last two did not.
I haven't asked you yet. I know
I would love to be able to jump and glide.
I know more or less where Chris Davis is because I talked to him while I was streaming last night. Brad, I don't even know how much this game you've played.
I'm in the Junon region.
Okay, so we're all kind of. So you and I are kind of in the same spot, and Chris Davis is a couple chapters ahead of us.
I'm not far into the Junon region.
So you at least found the Black Chocobo, which can climb walls. Which I will say
very slowly.
Yeah, here's what I'll say is that's another. We were talking a little bit last segment about how like even little tiny aspects or things that you kind of would have expected to just not be in the remake find their way in here. Like they're clearly already setting up in some way, shape, or form the Chocobos with the different abilities. When you like, I don't know if they're gonna go like the full like they're gonna do the breeding thing where you can breed like a gold Chocobo or anything. Probably not. But like the fact that I now am riding a Black Chocobo and I can suddenly climb walls that I couldn't before, I think is pretty cool, and it's an homage, it's a throwback.
The implementation is weird and awkward.
If Chocobo breeding is going to be in this series, it's going to be in the next game. I don't think it'll be in this one at this point.
Whatever,
I mean, who knows? But let's
combat. We talking about combat?
Yeah, let's talk about. I mean, combat obviously is a huge part of any Final Fantasy game, and it was a big part.
It was really good in the last game.
It was really good in the last one, and to be fair, before I know, because I know where this conversation is going to go, because I echo a lot of the same feelings that I know Brad has. I do think the combat in this game is still very good. Yeah. The problem is,
and it's cool how different the characters are, and I really like how Red feels, and like some of the newer stuff is cool. It's fast, it's frenetic. I like fighting things. I get some RPGs. I dread getting into combat. This is not one of them. I want to fight things, and that's a good sign.
Right. I think
they had shit that worked, and they fucked with it, and I don't understand why.
They either fucked with it or they layered like in an effort to I feel like in an effort to make this game not feel like just I think they wanted because the whole conceit of we're going to remake this game in 3 parts, which is essentially what this is. It's going to be a trilogy of games, right? Yeah. I think they wanted each game to feel like it has its own systems. Like it's not all just like
That's just sort of a JRPG thing, though, right? Like
I mean,
the Tell
maybe.
series does it, the Yakuza games do it, where they change systems just to change them sometimes.
Well,
And
right.
one of the things that I really would compliment Remake on, right? Is I think Remake is a really successful game and I really, really like it. And it's because of the character stuff I talked about. It's because, the music, of course, the combat system was really good, but also the systems that backed up that combat system were, I think, really smart. And, always had clunky UI stuff, and Lord knows this one does too in
A
menus.
lot of it.
But like in that first game, one of the coolest things that Remake did that the original Final Fantasy VII did not do is that they added like these skill trees to each weapon, right? To where you could go in and upgrade different weapons. And by the time, and as you were upgrading the weapons, you realize that there is like a build here. There's like a concept for this weapon. This weapon is always going to be relevant in this game, but this is the weapon I use if I want to lean more like towards magic spells, or this is gonna be the weapon I use when I lean more towards this thing or that thing, right? They had identities. Each weapon had an identity, and it was a smart idea, and it was a new idea to Remake. And they in Rebirth they threw that in the fucking trash, and it's just gone. And now they have this simplified system that is just confusing people because their UI is a mess, right? Like you go to weapon upgrades in the menu and
I'm
there's
so
no
confused.
upgrading of weapons to do it all. It's insane.
It took me 7 hours to figure out how to configure my party. Like I have to go to this very obscure menu called combat
There is an
settings.
option. There is an option for party.
There's a
menu
party option. Like what?
But you
You
have
don't
to go
change
to
your party.
combat settings to edit your party.
Yes. In the weapon
What?
upgrade system menu, you don't upgrade any weapons. You never
Look,
upgrade your weapons. It took me a long time to realize there is no agency in the upgrading of weapons. You can choose like a skill or whatever that goes on that weapon and maybe another one later, but it's not like, but the crazy part is you select, how in the last game, in some of these games you can select like an auto option, like, dude, I don't want to like spend time in menus, I'm just going to do prioritize attack. And you could do that in the weapon system in the last game and in the DLC, and it'll level it up for you. You have that option in this game, but there's no actual skill tree that anywhere that's leveling up. It's just picking the one skill that you can equip on a weapon for you. It's insane. That's not leveling up anything automatically. I don't even know if y'all realize that it's not doing anything except taking another choice away from you, a single choice of what to put on your weapon. It's actually crazy, which, by the way, you can't even swap that out in the weapon upgrade. You have to be on the materia menu, which is fucking insane because it's not even a materia. Don't get me started on folios. What the fuck?
Dude,
I still have no idea what's going on with the folios. I have been 100%ing areas in this game. I've played a lot of it, and I still have no idea what's going on with some of this shit because the UI is a mess, and they made it weird and they made it different just to make it weird and different. And it's frustrating because at the same time, certain aspects of the menu are snappy, are beautiful. I love the way like they change between the characters as you're like swapping the characters. Is like, wow, this is great. It's actually like pretty fast and responsive and beautiful. It's like, wow, right? But then this is the one of the things that always bothers me. I don't know if it bothers other people. When you're like, there's so many times in the game where you press pause and you can't actually pull up your menu. And even when you're talking to like little NPCs in the world and you're just saying bullshit and you're getting like quest rewards, like, oh, you got a new fucking material. Like, ooh, I want to go into the menu to see what that material does. And they're like, nope, it's just a pause screen. And you're like, this is just an NPC in the world, not an elaborate cutscene. I can't go to my menu. I'm like, all right, so I'm going to stop talking to this NPC. Surely I'm ready to bring up my menu. And I hit pause again, still can't bring up the menu. I really want to go into my menu. I'm thinking about all this stuff, Surely I can bring up my menu. Still not ready.
Wait.
You gotta wait. You gotta fucking wait. You have no idea when I can actually pull up that menu. And I pressed the button like half a dozen times, just wanting to go to my menu. Finally, it's okay. So maybe some text up top of the screen dissipated. Now you can go into your fucking menu. I swear to God, it drives me insane. And I'm a menu guy, right? I like to be in menus. And for me to not to know when I can actually go into my menu is driving me insane.
Now look. I agree with everything that you're saying here. I've had the exact same frustrations, and I'm actually glad. I feel a little bit vindicated because I thought I was dumb for a little bit. I'm being very confused about the folios thing.
It's a mess.
It's a huge
Yeah.
mess. I don't really know what's going on. And I'm still like fumbling. Like, I feel like I shouldn't be fumbling around in the menus this
You're
much
right.
after
I
15
want to
hours of
stress.
gameplay.
I want to stress, and I want you to continue that thought. As someone who played like 8 hours of Unicorn Overload recently, which is a strategy RPG with lots and lots of systems and menus and complexity, that shit was smart, intuitive, well designed. I was never confused. I'm a menu guy. I like complex RPGs. This is a mess, and it's not like a normal kind of mess. It is weirdly messy,
I 100%
but
agree,
expensive.
and it's I 100% agree, and I think it's honestly I think it's going to be one of the few things I end up looking back at when it's all said and done and going, that is an area where this game really needed a lot of extra work, because everything around it. I think this is I think this game is because I know it sounds like we're being very negative right now. And I feel like I have to say that a lot, but
It's
again,
because this shit's been pent up, and now we're getting it out.
We're getting it
I
out.
think-
And what's up?
I was gonna say, I think the problem Square Enix has with this remake series so far is that they prioritize animation over every single other aspect of the game.
Oh yeah,
Like
100%.
what Brad was just
Animation
saying about
trap.
the pause menus, like you have to wait until player agency is returned to you from a conversation, from a cinematic, from anything that's happening,
From Chadley?
any animation that could possibly be happening.
Chadley.
Yeah, Chadley. Like it doesn't make sense that I can't just go into a menu. I can't just do XYZ. Like conversations are so inconsistent in this game because some of them that have specific camera angles will allow you to skip dialogue, whereas others will not let you skip dialogue because those characters wave their arms or they turn around. Like it doesn't skip what needs to be skipped, and it slows it down, and it's so annoying.
Look. I'm while we're sitting over here kind of roasting this game, and I'm seeing
I
people,
love this game so
I'm
far.
seeing some people in chat assuming that
too.
look, nobody here is saying this game is bad or it's not a great game. I think this is a phenomenal game.
It's charming as fuck. It's funny as fuck. Did you not hear the part where I said like the Aerith and Tifa relationship
Aerith.
is like
It's Aerith,
one of
bro.
the best
It's Aerith,
I've
bro.
seen in a video game? Is that not like a nice grand statement? Like I love that stuff. I love how silly this game is and awkward and weird this game is, and its character moments. I adore that stuff. Like I said, the fucking Queen's Blood, which is a fun minigame.
Ooh, Nolan.
Big triple triad energy.
Nolan
you
likes
have
himself
no
a good
idea
Final
yet,
Fantasy
Nolan.
card game. I can already tell that when I'm gonna once I've kind of like done a lot of the stuff and it's like time to like explore the world and clean up, if you will. Like I'm gonna spend a lot of time with Queen's Blood.
Yes,
very
I have
very
spent a lot of
cool
time
game.
on Queen's Blood.
Um,
The problem is that Square Enix comes up with great like card-based or mini games like that so often, and they never capitalize it. If they do not capitalize and come out with like a actual Queen's Blood game like this year, that is throwing away millions of dollars. It does not.
I'll be
make sense.
honest. I would settle just for like the ability
It
to
has
play
the Gwent
this.
issue though.
I would settle for this just having like a mode, like a separate mode where you can just like play online against other people. Like
Without even knowing much about it, besides I've heard a couple of people tell me I'm going to enjoy it, my fear would be it's a Gwent thing where a lot of the fun comes from doing it in the Final Fantasy VII space. And if you were to take it out of that and just have it on your phone or something, it's not as
It'd be a lot of math.
good. Yeah. Well, so like I played a shit ton of Gwent when I was playing Witcher, but I never really got into the standalone game. And it's like one of those things where like in the context, I fucking loved it. But like, I don't think like I said, I've not played Queen's Blood, so I'm not sure, but
well,
that would be my fear.
I think in the context of this game and playing it in the world, I think you're going to get a kick out of it.
I kind of wish
It's
I
really
could do it more though. Like it's weird that I want to find more players of this, but there's only like a handful in that whole first region, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like in Triple Triad there was a lot more. Maybe I'm misremembering. There's a lot more people to like play Triple Triad with. Maybe I am misremembering. That. It's
What
been
was the
a very
game
long time.
called? What was the card game called in 8? Because that's still to this day. Like,
That
Triple
was
Triad.
Triple
Triple
Triad.
was it
Triad.
called? So
Yeah.
what was it called in 9?
No one remembers
Doo-doo
that.
butt.
No one played that one.
I thought it was Triple Triad in 9 as well.
No,
Nope.
that's 8.
I can look it up. I
Okay,
got
well
my
then-
guide over here.
Okay,
Oh wait, no,
well,
I would have
Triple
to log
Triad-
into the fucking
Team
Play
Song,
Online website to find out what it
Tetramaster.
is.
Tetramaster. Thank you, Jay Hid.
Tetramaster.
Tetramaster. That's right. I don't know why in my head I was thinking it was also Triple Triad. Yeah, dude.
So-
I mean,
I am having fun with the game. I'm getting addicted to the open world stuff, especially because I want to like level up my materia. I want to get the new materia that like Chadley has.
you want to power up your summons.
Yeah. I want to do all that stuff because I feel like the game can be challenging, and I want to power up my team, right? Because it feels good. The progression feels good. The materia system has always like been a strong, one of the stronger like progression systems in any Final Fantasy, and I want to do that stuff. But sometimes I'm out in the world doing some like bullshit, picking up some resources or just looking for shit with my chocobo, and I'm like, I also just want to get to like those really memorable like story moments with these characters that I know are coming, but feel like forever away because of the pace I'm playing this game. So I'm a little at odds. I do think that first area was like manageable to like 100%, but if they get much more or bigger than that, I feel like it's gonna start.
I think there's also something to be said about like that
hard.
Like that first time you go out into the grasslands and you're like, oh my god, this is beautiful, and I'm just kind of like my jaws on the ground. Like it's kind of hard to like my instinct was like, oh my god, I want to go do everything, and then I just go out there and I start doing it. But I feel like I'm assuming that like as the game goes on, I'll get more and more comfortable with like I'll return here later to do all this stuff. Like I will circle back around.
One of my problems though is that like some of these quests that I did, and maybe it was just the actual side quest, had cool little character moments that I wouldn't have wanted to miss. And I feel like I'm going to have a hard time figuring out which ones are worth doing and which ones are not worth doing. But maybe it was just sort of like the green quest where I had those little moments, like where like that bartender like makes the drink that was like Tifa's drink from Seventh Heaven, right? Like a cool little moment like that. I'm like, well, if I didn't do this quest, I would have not seen that little moment. I don't want to miss moments like that. So do I just have to do all this side shit? I don't know.
Thus far, you do, from my experience. Yeah.
I wish I knew. I wish I knew which ones I could pass on.
Well, to Chris Davis's point earlier, I do feel like there is a clear distinction between side quests and like open world activities. I don't feel like there's a ton of side quests. Like there's 4 or 5 in the grasslands, I feel like, and then everything
there's
else
about
is
4
just
or 5 inside Junon. That looks to be. I'm about to enter my 4th region now. It seems to be like 3 or 4 side quests per area, and that just, I don't know. The problem I'm
okay with that.
The problem I have is that in addition to that number just not being anywhere near what I think it should be, I think you should have like, I don't know, 8 or 9, like double that number per region.
Quality over quantity, dude. Quality over quantity.
Well, the quantity is in there for the world activities with Chadley. The problem I'm running into is that it feels like Square Enix miscalculated with this in providing filler content. Because let me tell you, I cannot believe how many mini games that they put into this game. Like beyond just what they put in the original remake, like in this, like it feels like every 90 minutes to 2 hours is a fucking new mini game that they throw at you. Most of them are pretty mandatory. You actually have to do them. Like it's
there's a lot in Final Fantasy VII though. I feel like it's famous for that.
Yeah, but Final Fantasy VII, the original had like maybe 4 mini games total.
No.
Look.
The original Final Fantasy VII had like dozens of little one-off things, and not all of them like took much time. But there's like weird little one-off, like you're only going to do this once.
For
things
example,
in that game, they're filled with them.
For example, when I went to record footage, I texted y'all earlier because I was like, I'm going to capture footage for this, and then about 30 minutes later, I was like, guys, somebody else needs to capture footage because I need to eat dinner and this is not working for me. And what happened was I boot up the game. I'm like, time to capture like 30, 40 minutes of footage, right? I take a few steps and I end up meeting a person. I talk to him and he's like, oh, go over here. You got to catch this chocobo. I was like, well, of course I want to run around the world on the chocobo, right? So I have to go catch Bella, which involves the whole like distracting the bird by throwing the rocks, but then you have to like flip these switches and you have to like walk really slowly behind this really slow moving mine cart. And you have to go in this giant loop and it takes fucking forever. I was like,
Yes.
this would be the most boring footage in the world. Like we could be over here raving about this game.
Or it would have
And
been the perfect footage for this conversation.
Oh my god, no, dude!
Yeah.
I was raging. I was like, this is the dumbest shit I've ever seen, and this is the kind of shit that made me mad in Remake. Like this is the kind of thing. It doesn't happen very often, but when it happens, oh man, I'm just like, I don't want to be doing this. This is bad. Again, not a ton of stuff like that, but it just happened to like weasel its way into my footage. Real quick, we haven't.
What the fuck are they thinking?
Yeah,
like,
no, it's.
When you get past the side quests and side activities that you do in this game, like when the narrative hits, it fucking hits.
It
Like,
hits fucking hard.
The
Dude, all
first
this
5
time-
minutes of this
Kingdom
game just had me on the edge of my fucking seat.
The first what?
The first
5
5
minutes.
minutes.
The Zack stuff at you're talking about the very, very start.
Yeah. When they introduce playable Zack.
Eh.
Oh, that was
Like,
first,
but what's
second.
happening narratively speaking there is fascinating to me what they're trying to do.
I mean, that's
So-
mostly like sort of like events from the first game, right?
No.
Like the very first moments of the Zack stuff at the very, very beginning was more just like kind of how, right? Like that stuff
No.
was basically like the end of the last game.
Look, they're doing
terms
something.
of-
They're setting up something very specific, I'm sure, with that first. In fact, and I don't want to talk about this because it's like starting to get into spoiler territory, I'm sure. But like the first 5 to 10 minutes of this game, still to me, 15 hours in, make no sense, and I think that's the point. Because it doesn't if unless you were not paying attention, that first 5 to 10 minutes does not connect to anything else that has happened thus far since that moment in this game. They're going to circle.
frustrating.
They're going to circle back around to that later, and it's probably going to make a lot of sense. But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah. Real
One
quick,
thing
I
is
want to
Zack
Carrying
call
Cloud
out.
thing was at the end of remake.
We're not talking about Zack carrying Cloud. There's other stuff that. Yeah.
I want to point out real quick. Drunken Merchant brings up something I should have mentioned earlier. Square Enix made a fucking wave race clone in this game, and it's awesome. And I don't think you'll ever play it again. It's absurd.
But that's the thing. There was a little dolphin mini game in Junon in the original Final Fantasy VII. Like people,
There
it was just it was like a little one-off moment, and it's not deep, it's not complex, it doesn't last that long. But I'm saying the original Final Fantasy VII was filled
Snowboarding,
with
man.
stuff like this, which is why that stuff is in this game and blown up. But like constantly in the original game, you were doing these little one-off things, and they're crazy. I mean, there's so many. Like even like at the very start of Final Fantasy VII, where your party member has to like time a button press together, right? That's just a weird little one-off mini game where you have to time it right or the door doesn't open. Constantly, that game was doing stuff like that, and I think that's why these remakes are going buck wild with that shit, which is hilarious. It's one of the things that makes these games so charming.
And it's what makes this remake true to the original in a lot of ways. Now, real quick, one thing we haven't really talked about much. We've touched on combat, which I do think is excellent and a lot of fun. There's a couple things that have so one of the things that I think is, and I don't remember exactly how it worked in remake, so some of this stuff might have changed, but like one of the new things they introduced in the combat here is called synergy attacks or synergy abilities, and they kind of introduced it a little bit in Intermission, that DLC
it was
that I
very
just played.
different Intermission though.
Yeah, very different, but they kind of build on that here. So it's and the idea is that you swap between the characters and you can build up their ATB gauges, and then you can execute an ability. Every time you execute an ability, it adds a charge, a synergy charge to them. It's like little dots or whatever. And once you have 3 of those on 2 characters, if you have a folio that has given you one of those synergy abilities, you can trigger a special synergy attack between those two characters. So I can have like 3 different synergy abilities, one between Cloud and Barrett, one between Cloud and Tifa, one between Tifa and Aerith. And if you can build up 3 charges on each one, you can trigger one of those abilities. And then
Well,
they do some really cool, elaborate thing, and it's
Yeah,
fucking awesome.
it's really great.
Problem is, I mean, it's a, in theory, really cool system. I like it a lot. My problem is, up until this point at least, outside of boss battles, nothing ever survives long enough to build up any of those fucking charges. I kill everything before I
That's
almost
not
have like,
true.
no, dude, seriously. You have to execute 6 abilities before you can use a synergy ability.
Yes.
By
Yeah,
the time
but
you use 6 abilities, you've destroyed almost anything.
who are you using, by the way? You just using
I mean,
Cloud?
I'm primarily rolling with Cloud, Aerith, and Tifa because
Well, I mean,
come on.
that's not true for like boss fights, right?
No, that's what I said. Outside of boss fights, boss
Oh,
fights,
outside of boss fights.
outside of boss fights, or inside of boss fights, totally different story. I'm using like 3 or 4 synergy abilities per battle, but
Like,
in
I-
regular
Yeah, but
combat,
I feel
those
like
things
those
are
are
almost never
for
gonna.
boss fights and harder.
No, they are. They
mid
are.
bosses.
But they are so cool. It'd be nice to see them more often. And it's a lot of times too. It comes down to, do I want to use my limit break or do I want to try and build up a synergy ability? Because you're certainly not going to really be able to do both. Same thing with summons. Like summons are only almost ever going to come out during like bigger battles, which I guess
maybe
Well,
it should
no.
be, yeah.
No, so that's not how summons work. Summons work
well,
in
no.
this
I know how they
game.
work. I know how they work. I'm just saying you're almost never going, like I'm never going to have a reason to, or I'm never going to unlock the ability to summon
Okay.
a
all right.
summon
Yeah.
before I end up killing everything anyways.
Well,
Like I've triggered the thing, the meter that starts building up, and you have to
Yeah.
wait for the meter to build up before you can actually summon the creature.
well,
But
for
it's
the
like,
for the listener, what I'm saying is that the trigger for a summon sequence to start, for that meter to start, is when you stagger an enemy, and
Yes.
that can happen actually quite often.
yeah, no, staggering is a different thing. And I also like too that there's a lot of, like, I'm constantly using the accessibility to like research enemies, because it'll tell you not just weaknesses and resistances, it'll tell you like, to stagger this one, you might need to inflict a an ailment on them or something, and
Yeah.
that'll pressure them and then make it
Who's
easier to
reading
stagger
this
them.
shit, though?
I mean,
I
I
just-
believe it or not, me. That's what I've been doing. So I actually like scan almost every enemy and then look at what the strategy is to stagger them, because that'll lead me to more.
I scan every
opportunities to
enemy
use
because of
summon.
Chadley. You know, I feel like a sign of a good RPG is how much I'm like looking. There's a lot here. Let me look up some stuff. I need opinions, right? You know, what do people think about different kinds of materia? I love reading people's thoughts on systems and whatnot, right? It's one of the things I love about RPGs,
Nerd.
even though it's not. And I found out about this one like enemy skill ability from the enemy skill materia that's like crazy, and it looks so rad. But the only way to get it is to like assess like everything in that first region basically, and then you unlock it with Chadley. So that's the only reason I've been using assess, because I don't give a shit about enemy weaknesses. I'll just keep trying spells until I hit it, and then I'll go from there, right? I'm not gonna waste time assessing. But
Look,
that ability seems fucking crazy. Where every time your ATB bar like fills up a notch, like it sends out like a electric shock wave, and like
that's
that.
cool.
Yeah, and there's like a lot of ways to like charge your bar like quickly, and it sounds fucking cool. I'm still trying.
Look, I guess what I'm trying to get at here is, I think this combat system is amazing. I think out of like all of the like action oriented Final Fantasy games that have come out, so 15, 16, and now 7 remake, I think this is by far the best. My problem is there's so many. It's a little sloppy in that I think not a lot of the concepts are fully.
There's really awesome
honed.
ideas in there, but like sometimes
So
in
many
practice,
cool
it's like Eris. If I'm playing Eris, I'm still gonna eat shit. Like even though they've given her like this ability to like teleport out of the way, it's just way too fucking slow. You're just gonna eat shit. So it's like,
I mean,
also
not
the
not
AI
to
is like so bad at charging ATB.
There is a materia you can put on your other party members that you don't use as often to automatically get them to trigger abilities to build their or to build their ability charges, so you can trigger the synergy stuff more. And like it means
They
like
never
they'll
do
use
it.
like they barely ever even when you have that on them, they almost
So
never
you
use
have to
abilities.
use synergy abilities, and I don't mean like the specials. I mean like the synergy attacks to
Yeah.
build their ATB faster. Because when you do an attack with them,
Mm.
like the one where like Cloud flings Tifa up into the air. I play a lot of Tifa.
No, that's a synergy ability which you have to use regular abilities
Synergy
to
skill
trigger.
ability or whatever.
Mm.
Like those will build the ATB bar for both people. So and because you can kind of do those whenever you want, sort of, which is weird. Um, that's kind of like helps it build quicker. But I don't know. It's still like, I think this. You're right. This is the best of the action combat of all these recent Final
I didn't really
Fantasies.
finish that thought
But
though.
like they're also a little like that's also sort of like damning with faint praise a little bit, because I'd
Like,
still say it like doesn't compare to like say the best of like a Tales of action RPG battle system,
I
right?
mean, listen, I didn't
Hmm.
quite finish that thought entirely
Oh
because I think it is the best they've done. There are so many cool ideas. There's so much room for experimentation, for
yeah.
differentiation. Like I might play totally different than Brad might play. I might use totally different materia. I might be focused on synergy. I might be focusing on trying to trigger summons, staggering. Like there's so many cool ideas at play here. But because
Mhm.
there's so many ideas, like it's hard to kind of like get good at any one of them. You know what I mean? Like
Well,
it's just
some people will. I mean, once you get to hard mode, you're gonna have to get good at some of these systems, but you're probably also gonna have to
right.
lean towards more of like the overpowered shit and leave some of it. Doesn't feel always the most balanced, honestly, right? Because
Yeah.
sometimes I switch back to Cloud and I'm like, why am I not just always playing Cloud? This seems like this shit seems like bullshit. I'm over here doing overtime with Tifa, and I could probably just like clean up with Cloud. I felt that when I switched to Red too. Red seems really powerful in this.
Yeah.
Red's really good.
But it's cool. It's awesome because I love these characters and I love the way they implemented the characters and how they feel so different and how Barrett feels like fucking Barrett, and that's fucking rad. They nailed that, right? And I mean that's the true magic.
There's one aspect of the combat that we did not mention, in that
Hmm.
in this new combat system, because it's open world and you have such a large party, everyone in your party is engaged in the combat. It's not just you and your two companion characters now.
It's cool that
So
there,
like
but yeah.
if you have like Barrett on outside your party, like he's at a range and he'll get some shots in every now and then. Or Red might come in and swipe at an enemy or something like that. Like
I honestly
having
haven't
the
noticed that,
entire
but I believe it.
team,
That's
having the entire
weird that you
team
haven't noticed.
I've
I
never.
mean, I've noticed it specifically, especially in boss fights. Like
And
having the entire team engage in that combat makes me appreciate these characters so much more, and makes me want to like swap them in and out more often to experience what they could possibly do now that I've updated their folios, updated their materia and things like that. I
Their
mean,
folios.
yeah,
God, leveling shit up in that menu is like a nightmare. I love
yeah.
like menus and respecking characters. Like I told you, I was respecking characters right before the final fight in Baldur's Gate 3. I'm terrified to accidentally hit the respec in the folio menu because it's so slow and clunky, like leveling all that shit up. I'm terrified of hitting
Yeah.
that button.
don't do it,
Oh my
Brad. Don't
god.
do it.
There's no point. Also, like this amount of agency you have is just a joke in that menu. It's stupid.
It is.
It
It
reminds
is.
me of the Crystarium from Final Fantasy 13, but worse.
One of these days, I'm gonna go back and replay 13. I've been
Don't
thinking
don't
about.
have
I've been
to do
thinking
that. You
about
can
it.
just make
I've been
better
thinking
life
about it.
choices, Nick.
But I want to make. I want to make these life choices.
Just wait for the remaster trilogy that they're going to do eventually, Nick. It's going to
It's
happen.
okay that you liked 13. You have
I-
memories of that. They won't go.
I mean, quite honestly, well, Lightning Returns is my favorite, but just the vanilla 13 sounds kind of nice. Anyways, let's we can move on here in a second. I don't even know where we're going. Yeah, we can. We could wrap this show up for Nolan's sake.
The music's really fucking good.
Ooh, this is the
but
best
so much
fucking-
is like nostalgia related. Like I don't know. Like what does
Dude,
Malia think about this music? You know, what is someone who doesn't care about Final Fantasy VII
Dude.
or really video game music? Is she listening to this and going, "Wow, this This
I
is
th-
an amazing tune.
I think this. I think the Final Fantasy. I mean, of course, it's kind of hard to take this, at face value or objectively here, but like, I think the original soundtrack was amazing. I think what they've done
Yeah.
here is, I think it transcends video games. I think this is an incredible reimagining of that soundtrack. I mean,
The sound
obviously,
There's some good stuff in
it
there.
works the best, I think, in context of what you of playing the game, I suppose. But like, it it's the music is just it's good. I think it's objectively good.
I don't think you can. Well, of course,
I mean,
so much
it's
video game is
impossible.
objective.
It's
So
impossible to
much video
separate.
game music is objectively good. You can't. It is impossible to divorce yourself from the nostalgia of these tracks.
So why
It's
do but
There
why do we
are
have to then? Why do I
You
have
don't
to
have to. You don't have to, which is why I'm beating the drum as well. This is an amazing soundtrack. It is
the
incredible. I think you deal with some of the horrors of the awkward slowness in this game. Like when
because
the
of the
game
soundtrack?
is doing the dumbest shit, you just listen to the music and everything will be all right.
the
I
soundtrack
truly
for this
believe that.
game is 9 discs, and it
Yes.
costs more than the video game.
Dude, they said this before during that presentation. They were like, the soundtrack has 400 plus tracks.
Yeah. That's probably a bit fucking much though, right? At some
mean,
point it's like, oh, okay, buddy. 9 discs.
I
It's
mean,
nice, but like you know what I think doesn't get enough respect? That the fucking Advance Wars like the new tracks for the Advance Wars remake fucking ripped so hard. Like this is it's great. It's fucking great. But it is relying more on nostalgia than anything. Well,
I
that's
mean,
not fair. It's fucking great.
I
I just think
there, there
people
we
like
go.
fillet this thing so hard, and it's like there's just a lot of
It's aggressive fellatio on the soundtrack. Yes.
I completely forgot to mention this, but I want to close on this real quick. Just one final criticism: the summons that you get in this game, you have to earn them by going to
Sadly.
world events to do a little mini game to get data on them.
Don't even
But
call that a
you
mini
do
game.
not
It's
like
insulting.
you do not actually like find these summons out in the world. You have to go into Chadley's combat simulator to fight them to get their materia.
It's weird.
No,
Chadley.
don't
You
do
just
that.
really
Bad,
gotta love
bad
Chadley.
video game design. No.
They really went
That's
all in
true.
on they really
They-
went all in on Chadley, and I'm not entirely sure why.
I
It was
don't
kind of
understand why it's VR. Like they really should have just been things in the world. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Especially
Hey,
that
but-
broad a world.
Hey,
Chadley.
but yeah, fucking Chadley. But here's what I will say. Even though you don't find the summons out in the world, there are some really cool optional, I'll say quote unquote boss fights against like really
Yeah,
cool
Well, you
monsters
have to
that are
do
out
like
in the
a
world.
bunch of
I mean, they're for
checklist stuff to
Chadley.
unlock.
They're for Chadley. But like, I fought a Quetzalcoatl, which I hadn't really thought about since like Final
It was
Fantasy
a cool
VIII,
fight. That
and
a
it was
really
a cool
fight.
fucking fight.
Yeah.
And it's just
Nice.
it's out in the world. It's like there's some cool stuff. I'm in the same boat as you, Chris Davis. I think the summons being relegated to Chadley, especially considering I think the summons, this is the best execution of summons in a Final Fantasy game since maybe 12.
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
Uh,
whoa.
I mean, and I'm
What
also
do you
excluding
mean?
four. What? This is a controversial thing?
I don't like. I mean, you're saying like the way they're implemented in combat.
Yes, dude. 15 was a joke. 16
Yeah, but
was
15
super
like had like an air of like epicness to it that this game certainly doesn't have. Like just the presence of the summons in combat.
I don't care about the presence.
There, it was
Here's
like
the
an
thing.
event.
Here's the thing. From the earliest days of me being a Final Fantasy fan, my favorite part of Final Fantasy has always been summons and using summons in battle. Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9,
Yeah.
10, all brilliantly executed in my opinion as far as having them be a part of your team, a part of your strategy in battle.
Sure.
And then you hit,
Mhm.
and I left 12. I probably should have mentioned 12. But then you hit, and then we got to the PS3, Xbox 360 generation with Final Fantasy 13. And every game since then, excluding 14, I can't speak to 14, but the single player Final Fantasy games since 13 have all failed at making summons a major
What about
component
16?
of
16
battle.
was all about summons.
The story was all about summons, but using summons in
But the boss
battle,
fights were wild.
the boss fights were wild, but that's not what I care about. I care about making them part of my team, making them part of my combat strategy, and that
I
just
feel like
hasn't.
when they're out on the field, I don't even know where they are. I'm just so focused on my little combos.
You can once you summon them, you can issue them commands. If you
I know
if you
that.
if they stay around, if you don't finish the battle before their bar runs out, they use their signature attack. They're
Yeah.
there. Like it's
Yeah.
they feel like they're part of the battle, the combat experience, which I just have not felt since probably 12. And I'm even not even
Yeah.
I don't even remember a lot about how they worked with 12, which is weird because I replayed that game fairly recently.
I think you might be right, but I also am still not impressed by it. Like it's still like pales in comparison to like 10 or maybe even 12 where they're on the battlefield, or maybe even like I think they're sub pound mates from Infinite Wealth, which by the way, they're no longer just animations like Yakuza 7. They're on the battlefield now doing their cool attacks. Pound mates,
I think
Pac-Man
I'm just saying
signed Final Fantasy Rebirth summons.
I'm just saying, I think it's cool shit that I can trigger them in combat, summon them. You get the cool animation that come out on the
The
battlefield.
problem is they share the same ATB as everything else, and like when a summons out, I'm all desperately trying to like heal and shit.
I'm
and
not
juggle my
saying it's
ATB,
perfect.
And it's like
I'm not saying it's perfect, and also and to kind of like go back to the Chadley thing. If you find all the things out in the world that are associated, you find the intel related to that summon. Every time you find it, it makes your summon stronger. Or if you haven't earned that summon through Chadley's VR thing yet, because when you like, I went to go fight Titan for the first time. I hadn't found any of the intel on him. Just fucking wiped the floor with me.
yeah.
The more intel you find out in the world, he gets weaker and weaker, so that when you actually do go fight him, you can beat him easier.
Yeah,
And then once you do have him, it makes him stronger. So like, I thought that was kind of a cool push and pull kind of situation here.
Yeah.
But like,
and it's not a situation in which you can force yourself to level beyond that fight, because that fight is scaled to whatever level you're at. So you are incentivized to go and find that intel to provide you the option of lowering the difficulty of that boss.
right.
Yeah,
Now-
but
now-
then
now-
I did that and it felt way too easy. There's also it's stupid. Why is it a VR fight? Is there
Again,
a lore
I don't
reason
know.
as to?
I think it's dumb. I think that part's dumb.
There
I'm
should
just saying.
also be an incentive to
We're all in
actually
agreement.
do those fights at harder difficulties. Like, give us a reward for doing so.
Personal challenge. I don't know.
Maybe.
All I'll say is
Anyway.
I gotta give this game credit for, again, not a perfect summoning system, but I think it has made the biggest strides towards getting back to the roots of what makes summons so special to me in Final Fantasy. And
16, I don't know.
Dude,
I mean,
again,
I'm no fan of 16, but like
I
if
played
you
80
love
hours of
summons. That's the game.
I played 80 hours of 16. The summons in the story, cool as shit.
But those were also like gameplay.
Not
Like you
I mean-
controlled them and stuff. Like it was crazy, right?
I guess I just
I mean,
didn't.
that's like the thing of that game that actually was impressive.
Well, then maybe let's go ahead and chalk that up as another reason why I was disappointed in 16, because it did not gel with me. I don't know.
We need to
Whatever.
close this out.
That's yeah. We need to close this out.
I
That
mean,
was
I
just
think
an
there's
interjection.
also nostalgia in these like summon designs, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Ifrit's
Yeah.
really good.
Hey,
When you're
let's
Ifrit fighting like whatever. I mean,
Let's-
that was the coolest parts of 16. Whatever.
dude. I don't know what to fucking tell you. I was disappointed by 16 in a lot of ways, and summons was just another one of them. And again, the story moments in 16, fucking amazing. Outside of that, didn't do anything for me.
Yeah, true. I mean, like, imagine fighting Titan in 16 versus fighting Titan in a VR that Chadley tells you to do. Like, the world of difference is. That's why I'm kind of pushing back a little bit on this, because that seems.
No. You know what it is too. Like, you fight Titan in 16. Remember that fight? That was a fucking iconic
Yeah.
fight, right?
It's
And
crazy.
then you summon Titan in battle, and it's like the dumbest shit. It's just like he's like just a little bit bigger than you, and
Yeah.
it's just. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe that was the problem.
But
Maybe
I guess I'm just not blown away by the summons here. Is all I'm saying. Mostly, I'm more concerned about doing my own shit. I'm like, I do the summon just because like the thing pops up, but like I feel like I don't even need them. You know, it's like just get out of here, dude. Is that crazy? Because like the stuff
Yeah.
you do is so crazy in combat. You know, I'd rather do my limit break.
It's a lot going on in
Dude,
combat. It's easy for anything to kind
the
of fade in the
limit breaks
background.
look so good. That's the thing. The animations and stuff look so good, and it's like beautiful, and it's like expensive.
It's expensive.
Ah.
You know what's not expensive?
The
The
4-player
four-player
minute?
minute. Let's wrap this
Oh, thank
fucking show
goodness.
up with the
This game.
4-player minute. And I'm gonna let Nolan, since he's had to endure such a long Final Fantasy
I wouldn't say
conversation.
endure.
I know.
but-
You're a big Final Fantasy fan, so thank you for.
No,
I
I
know.
am.
I hope you do get a chance to play it in the not too distant future. But let's start with you, Nolan. What's your final thought for the week?
Yeah, so my 4-player minute starts now. Still playing Yakuza. Still doing Dondoka Island. I actually just hit a 5-star island. So obviously I'm not done. But what I ended up doing after our last conversation on the show was I did take a break from the island, went back to the actual story, did a few story missions, but the main focus was going around the city and finding new residents to come back to the island, so I could make more money. And so I'm still doing that, but still enjoying it. Definitely a lot of fun. I did start playing Balatro, however you want to pronounce it.
Oh my God.
Latro.
It's so
Yeah,
good.
We're never going to see Nolan
yep.
again.
You will. Definitely. Yeah. Well, have we
Dude,
talked about that on the show?
no.
Like with like
We
footage
did.
and
We
stuff.
did.
We did, yeah.
We did. You were
Okay, that was a show I missed, I guess.
Let me
Okay.
tell you, dude, Nolan.
Mhm.
No, I've been playing a lot of Balatro. I know you've been playing. I don't know how much you've been playing. I've been playing. It's a problem.
Mhm.
His poop breaks
If-
are now twice as
If
long.
fan gamers sold packs with like jokers,
Uh-huh.
oh, and like some of them could be like hologram, polychrome, or whatever foil, dude, I would lose.
Do you talk about like
I would
Pokemon
spend
cards?
all the Joker
He'd spend his
designs
life
are
savings.
so good. Like the
Yeah.
Joker designs are so good. I love the way this game looks. Give me all the polychrome Jokers. Holy shit. Give me some negative
Okay.
Jokers. Oh, negative polychrome Joker. Oh, I'd spend so much money. Sorry. I haven't felt this way since remember the decals and Let It Die? Remember the glossy like decals that you would unlock and Let It Die?
Yeah.
That was the last time I felt this passionate about I want a physical version of all of these right now. Sorry. Balatro, it's
No,
good.
you're good. But yeah, that's really it for me. I'm just obviously living life, trying to get by, playing games when I can.
Cool.
Nothing too much crazy on the horizon.
Doing
That's
everything.
all you can do. Are you excited for Dragon's Dogma?
Oh, of course, obviously. That was one of my favorite games of all time. Definitely looking forward to that one. The only thing I'll bring up is fond memories have been unlocked with our Final Fantasy VII talks. And I know I definitely have talked about it on the show, and I was trying to find it over there on my shelf, but I can't. I can't remember if I kept it. I think I did because A, it's valueless, and B, it's just a monument to my naivety when I was younger. But when I was young, obviously, this is no. This is like pre like YouTube. Believe it or not, for some of our listeners, pre YouTube. Pre any kind of streaming thing, really. And I had Final Fantasy VII. And I loved it, and I wanted like more. And then I was kind of like searching probably on like Yahoo, because Google wasn't really a thing. And I was trying to find some like information on Final Fantasy VII. Probably found some forums or something, but I found like, Final Fantasy VII movie. I was like, oh shit, what the fuck? Final Fantasy VII has a movie? Like I couldn't find anything on it, and I bought it on eBay. I can't remember. I think like $15 or something like that. And all it was like 4 DVDs of like someone playing Final Fantasy VII from beginning to end.
The original Let's Play, dog.
Yeah,
That
like
was
an OG Let's Play
more
that I
common
paid
than you think
$15
back
for.
then.
Yeah.
Oh my
I
God.
remember VHSs of shit like that.
That's true. I was just a dumb kid. Like I said, I'm pretty sure I still have it. I think it's boxed up somewhere. Like I said, what am I supposed to do with it? It's worthless. I can't give it away even. But yeah, so it's just that us talking about Final Fantasy VII made me unlock that memory again.
That's fascinating.
Konami,
Absolute fascinating.
for the re-release
Can
of
I
Metal Gear
say-
Solid 3 back in the day for Subsistence, as
Mhm.
part of one of the bonus DVD things you get in the limited edition, included that exact thing, just a 90-minute, 2-hour thing of gameplay and cinematics as
Wow.
MGS3 the movie, like an official thing. It
That's
was
so
I wanna-
fucking weird.
I want to compliment Final Fantasy VII.
Shenmue did it too. I
saying-
forgot.
That one of the most wonderful things about the original Final Fantasy VII is when you just saw materia in the environment,
Yeah, it's true.
and it's
yeah.
like, oh my god, what is that materia? Like when you see
Yeah.
the purple materia in Aerith's garden, and you're like, oh my god, what is that materia? It still has that effect. When I see materia
Yes.
in the world in this game, I'm like, oh my god, what materia is it? It's blue. Is it going to be all materia? You know, still have that. I'm glad that transferred over.
That's one of the little details, man. That's one of the little
Mhm.
details.
In
There's a
fact,
lot,
anything
man. There's a
that's
lot to love here.
colored purple in that game is something valuable to go
Mhm.
Yeah, that's not necessarily true. I'm not going to equip vitality up.
for. No, but like
Um,
weapons.
Why
and
would you
stuff
not
and all
equip
that.
Vitality up?
Yeah,
Sorry.
that's stupid.
Chris Davis, why don't you go next?
Fuck you, Nick.
Yeah, you're going last today, bitch. I'm just kidding.
I don't even
I'm going.
know.
I always go last.
Yeah.
Welcome to my
Uh,
world.
My 4-player minute. This is good. Final Fantasy VII Remake is going to be a 100-hour game easily for me at this point. Based on where I'm going, I am very excited what they're doing with the narrative. I know I was bitching and moaning about a bunch of little nitpicks in our impressions, but really, I'm really loving this game. As a one game at a time guy, I am so very glad that I blazed through Infinite Wealth as fast as I could. But that number for my personal satisfaction ended up being 97 hours. But Infinite Wealth,
Just blew
that's a
right through
top
it in
tenner at the
a
end of the-
quick,
at-
easy 97 hours. Oh my
That's-
god.
Infinite Wealth is a guaranteed top tenner this year. Like that, the last hour of that game is so satisfying. And that ending is exactly what I wanted from this game. So fucking good. Will not go into spoilers for Brad or Nolan at all, but fuck man.
But fuck me,
just
right?
Make certain that y'all finish that game this year.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, maybe I won't. Maybe I won't finish my 12th Yakuza game. Fuck you, Chris Davis.
I mean, just like it's like the second half of that game is all about like nostalgia and like setting up a character
Careful.
for a.
Careful.
I'm not
Chris
gonna say.
Davis,
Okay.
careful.
Anyway,
One you were
anyway.
introduced to in Yakuza 6, you motherfucker.
I don't need to play 6 other Yakuza games in order to appreciate a
I'm
character.
not saying you do. It was just funny. That was called like Kiryu's like farewell, his final game.
I didn't know that at the time.
It wasn't.
So
It wasn't. You did know
Yeah.
because it was part
Anyway.
of marketing.
no, I did not.
And
No, I
we
did
were all
not.
screaming it at you.
Well, then
All right,
I.
Brad, it's your turn.
Well, Brad, I ignore you half the time anyway. But my.
Oh, shut
I mean, it's
Not a fan.
hey, you gotta if you want to stay sane working for this website. The other thing is that Unicorn Overlord is Friday, and I really want to play that. And there's no way I'm getting done with remake this month. I don't think. Like, and
Come to
it's
the dark
stressing me
side.
out,
Play
man.
2 games at
Remake
once.
this month.
No,
You're
no,
gonna
I
finish
gotta
remake
get-
in like a weekend. You're a crazy person.
No, I will not.
Dude,
no, there's no way.
I took
Not
a-
from where I'm
I
at
took a-
with how many hours. I have put in 35 hours since remake launched in playing it. Okay, like there's no way. Not
This is so
from where I'm
depressing,
at.
dude.
Not from the pace
This
in
is-
which I'm going.
This is so
You can
depressing.
just play both. I'm gonna be playing Unicorn Overlord on my Switch.
Dude,
You know, and this on
Dude.
my PS5.
this is so
Let-
depressing. I took a 3-day weekend and impromptu. I took like a mental health day on Friday. And I was like, hey, I'll just, mental health day. Rebirth comes out tomorrow. Perfect. 3-day weekend, 12 hours. I got 12 hours of Rebirth in it, and I felt really good about that. I was like, oh, 12 hours. I got 12 hours. This is nice.
What is the moral of the story?
The moral of the story is I don't have enough fucking time.
The
12
moral of the
hours feels
story
like
is I need a
nothing.
fucking social life to get me away from gaming. This is the problem.
It wasn't even about like I didn't do anything outside of like I didn't do anything social this weekend that I
What?
can think of.
What did you? Were you doing?
Well,
Why weren't you
I
playing
went and saw
Rebirth?
Dune. I went and saw Dune on Friday night, so there's
Okay.
that. But other than
And
that,
evidently you got blinded multiple times by it.
I mean, here's a yeah. That movie goes back and forth between dark, dimly lit inside
Really?
areas to the desert in like, and it was like 10 o'clock at night too, so I was already starting to get kind of sleepy, and I was like, oh god, um,
Well, my kids were sick, so we didn't do shit this
yeah,
weekend. But I played a lot of Final Fantasy.
I don't have
Yeah.
kids, I don't have kids. I did almost nothing socially. I did 12 hours of Final Fantasy. And was pretty proud of that, but that clearly, I don't know.
Oh, shut up, Nick. You
I just
play
don't
so
have,
many games.
dude.
You know what it is? You couldn't do more than 12 hours because it was a Japanese game. If it was a Western
No.
game, you would have done 30 hours.
That's not true because if that was the case, I would have played a lot more Pacific Drive at this point, but I'm still sitting at about 8 hours on Pacific Drive. Also, by the way, that game is really hard to play um, at night sitting in bed on a Steam Deck because it's actually rather frightening unexpectedly.
Mm.
So I get
On a Steam
like
Deck?
I jumped and made a little like noise, and I was in
Huh.
bed, and Robin was already like fast asleep, and she like rolled over and was like, "What's wrong?" And I was like, nothing. I shouldn't be playing this in bed. This is a bad idea." That game's pretty good though, by the way. Sorry, this is not my 4-player minute. Brad, you take it away.
I got nothing. I don't know.
Nothing?
Well, I
You
guess
have
I wanted
nothing
to
to
talk a
say?
little bit about how hyped I am for Dragon's Dogma 2. There was a big preview embargo that lifted. Uh, I mean, if you know who Austin Walker is, you know he's a big Dragon's Dogma fan, and also just like one of the, he's just really good at talking about video
He's a real
games.
one.
So, and there's like kind of a hour long video where he just kind of shows some of the footage because he went and played it, even though he's not even like in games media anymore. But people know his passion for Dragon's Dogma, so he got invited to play Dragon's Dogma still, anyways. Anyways, it was like a really cool like some of the stuff he was saying. Dude, this is gonna be a real one, y'all. It's gonna be a real one, but it's also gonna be prickly. Like they're doing stuff that games don't do because it makes like gamers like uncomfortable, and not in like a way that like like a Souls game is like hard, right? Like, oh, this is really hard. Some people are just not going to be able to play this. No, they're doing shit like timed side quests. Like if you're gonna like dilly dally, like if someone comes up to you and said, dude, like this person's in danger, and you don't like make an effort to
Do that right away.
prepare for an expedition and like
Mhm.
go towards it to like solve that quest, you're gonna get there and it's gonna be like a dead body. And that's crazy. No one's doing shit like that anymore. And if you look into like the way they do handle like nighttime and like camping and stuff and resources, and it is like they are making a game that is trying to be different in a lot of the ways like the first one was, right? But now they're really kind of like they're going all in, right? In a way that other like franchises like Elder Scrolls will start to like streamline, and we're gonna make it more mainstream. We don't want to be in menu. I mean, menus are bad. Like they're going in a direction that doesn't care about
Your
appealing to the
comfort.
mainstream. And to
Yeah.
me, I think that's why something like like the Souls games really caught on, because I think people really like grabbed on to the fact that this was different. This is different. It's not like all these other games that they just want me to get to the end so I can buy the DLCs, so I can buy the sequels, so I can buy the expansion pack. Like this is a game that just wants to be its own thing. And if people don't click with it, that's fine. But the people who do really appreciate that design. I feel like Dragon's Dogma is doing that in so many cool ways. And just a one little thing aside is that your pawns can have like different roles, and I know that they talked about like, oh, this one is like a translator, so like if you go into like the Elven region, like he will translate the Elvish to you because you won't be able to understand it otherwise. And also was talking about some of the other things that these pawns can do, and one of them is like an inventory management guy who will like handle inventory management for you, and he will like spread out your inventory between you and all your pawns to keep everybody's weights low from being over encumbered. He'll balance it out. He'll basically treat your party as mules, but he'll do it for you, like equipment
That's
mules.
cool.
Like there's
Yeah.
little things like that. That's so fucking cool. I can't wait. There's so much
Yep.
to say on this. Like this game, I want to fight Nick when he says this could probably end up being like a low 70s like that first game. Nick, you have no idea. Like even if it does get low
Stop
scores like
saying
that,
shit like that. Like I somehow don't know what I'm talking about, or that I haven't been looking at some of the same preview stuff. I know that game is probably going to be good. I'm just saying it's
you
probably it could.
can't say probably going to be good. What you can
Brett,
say is
if I said that
probably
to you,
going to
if
utter
I
in the
s-
same breath
Brad, shut
as
the fuck up. If I
Breath of
said
the Wild, Elden Ring.
Brad, shut the fuck up. If I said the exact same thing that you just said about any video game that wasn't Dragon's Dogma 2, you would tell me I need to check myself at the door. That I
Maybe,
need to
depending on the
lower my
game.
fucking
I mean, if you say that
expectations.
shit about Pacific Drive or something, maybe. But this is Dragon's Dogma 2. Show some respect.
Look, I have no desire to want this game to fail, but every time I hear Brad talk like this, I want it to get like a 75. I don't.
That's crazy.
And that's in spite of
This
myself
fucking
because I want the
bitch.
game to
That
be. I
just
want the
means
game to
you
be fucking
don't.
amazing.
This because it's Japanese.
There it is.
No, I mean, whatever. It's fine. You played that first one. You liked it. You finished it.
Dude, I am just as I am. Okay, I'm not. I'm
I
not
don't
gonna say
know.
just.
The way you talk about it, you're like, who wants to spite a game or
Brett,
spite someone?
you have started our years of working together has started to rub off on me. You've turned me into a little bit of a cynic. Okay, so like
Yeah, but
to
the
hear
games you're choosing to be cynical about are like Tears of the Kingdom and Final Fantasy VII Remake and stuff. It's like
when was
you're
I
picking
cynical
some
about
weird
Tears of the
battles.
Kingdom? What about the
Mr.
fact that
Number
like I was a
5,
little
Mr.
the
Like
fact
that shit was coming out and you were like, I don't know about this one, y'all. You
Brett,
quote for
Brett,
quote, word for word, quote, and I quote Nick, I don't know about this Tears of the Kingdom game, y'all. Yeah, I don't know.
first of all,
Verbatim.
that's bullshit.
Verbatim. Check
Point
the
number two.
receipts. Check the
I don't feel like I feel like it's kind of weird for you to be harping on me when like the only negative thing I've ever said about Tears of the Kingdom, and it's not even a negative. It was just that maybe I was a little bummed that it was the same map. Like
I already said verbatim what you said.
whatever. Uh, I think being my top 5 games of the year is more than enough praise for Tears of the Kingdom.
It's
Come on, man.
insulting.
Come
Stop
on.
saying that.
Come on.
You're spitting on its grave.
Fuck off. Okay.
Stop.
I'll keep this fucking short. I'll just I don't even know where to I don't even we've talked so much about Rebirth. I think it's kind of magical even though it has a lot of problems. It's a great game. I'm having a lot of fun. I'm still trying to find time for some Pacific Drive because I think that game is really really well done, and I think it's being obviously overshadowed by a lot of big stuff coming out right now. It strikes a tone. It captures a vibe that is just so uniquely suited to that genre of game, and it's so well done and it's so addicting. Like once you start, it's hard to stop. But like I went on an expedition the other day, and let's just say I went into the expedition and my car was perfect. It was all the panels, all the tires, all the stuff on it was just was clear. It was armored. I was ready. I was like, I feel good about this. Fast forward about 30 minutes later, and I'm barreling towards that beam of light that's going to take me back to the garage, and I hit a rock and I go flying through the air, and I get the achievement for going through the beam in midair because it doesn't happen very often. I get a bunch of air and I come crashing into the garage. Because it teleports you back to the garage. I come crashing in. The car like hits the ground, it's like bouncing all over the place. One of my tires flies off the car, and I come like sliding into the garage, and the whole thing is like falling apart. And I was like, but I made it. And that's just such a unique feeling. And I love it, man. I fucking love it. It's just also incredibly stressful.
I want to try it myself, honestly.
It's a cool, man. If you like survival games, it's one of those things. If you've played one and you enjoy it, this is another good one. Check it out. And with that, that's our show this week. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you for all those who watched us on YouTube tonight. Thank you to all those who watched on Twitch. We appreciate it. If you want us to keep streaming on YouTube, you got to let us know. So leave us comments on YouTube, pop into our Discord and the feedback channel, let us know what you think. Ring the bell or whatever the hell they say. If you like our channel and you want us to keep doing it on YouTube, smash the bell, whatever the fuck it is. Nolan's shaking his head at me. I'm like an old man. Ring the bell, or whatever the fuck it's called. You need to do that. But yeah, guys, if you're not on our Discord, please join us there at discord.gg/4player. We'll be back next Tuesday with another episode. And of course, we got some big stuff coming out this month between Rise of the Ronin and Dragon's Dogma 2, among a bunch of other little things. And there's a lot to talk about in the coming weeks. So we hope you'll join us for another episode. But in the meantime, be good to each other, play video games. Good night.
Bye.
Night.
I just realized that I trapped the cat in here during the break, and she's been stuck in here with me this entire time.
I bet she was perfectly happy and didn't make a sound.
She didn't. But she sure made a sound until I let her in.
Well, that's your fault for closing the door.
After 3 hours of Dragon's Dogma 2, I'm convinced it's not just Game of the Year contender.
I read that.
Maybe an all-time
It's a goat.
great.
It's a goat.
Wow.
I just hope
got
that there's
on
the
their
ability
Fantasy
to-
Critics lucky.
God damn it.
Fuck you,
Nolan.
Nolan. Fuck you.
Damn. Right for the jugular.
That's how I
Dragon's
play.
Dogma 2 has a uncapped frame rate that targets 30 frames.
Well,
not
it
good.
is Dragon's Dogma after all.
Yeah.
We're probably still
which,
going to run better than Rise of the Ronin.
which was that for console or for
For
just in
console.
general? Okay,
Yeah.
I'm playing it on PC
Oh.
because I don't know if you know this about me,
Nick,
guys.
PC gamer.
I'm a PC gamer now. It
That's
feels weird
fucking
playing my
gay.
PlayStation. Played
This
so much shit.
motherfucker.
Persona's still going good. I didn't mention that. I'm still playing
Yeah,
Persona.
Whatever.
Uh,
You going to finish that, Nick?
Yeah, I'm gonna finish it. I told you I'm gonna finish it. I just wish I could spend 90 hours with a game in like a week's time.
I mean, you can do. I mean, maybe you're right. Maybe you are just too casual of a gamer. I mean, you haven't finished Baldur's Gate 3, right? I mean, that
Nope.
was-
I have not.
How's that going?
Well, I haven't touched it in a little while, but I'm going to. So calm your tits, okay?
Okay, I mean, I'm over it. Just curious. Oh man.
Taco, stop it.
Taco's not causing any trouble.
Her tail is touching my TV screen. I'd really rather that not happen.
That's not
Fine.
going to do anything.
I know.
And she never gets to stay in and hang out when you're doing the
She actually does
podcast.
She actually does fairly frequently. Sometimes she just sleeps. Although now it's like she senses the podcast is over because now she's like up and exploring. You gonna come over here, Taco? You gonna walk across my computer? No. Fine. Fuck you.
You can't just introduce an idea to an animal. You have to lead them into the idea.
She doesn't take the lead from anybody. She's her
Take
own.
too kindly.
She's a free agent or something.
Okay, recording saved. I realize I did the entire show with my VPN on.
This
But
that-
guy.
seems to
That
have
should
gone
be
all
be
right.
fine. He should be fine.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Boom. Ugh. Maybe I'll go play Persona in bed since Pacific Drive's too stressful.
You'd like that, wouldn't you?
I would. But hey, Moonlight saves the day again because Pacific Drive runs like dog shit on Steam Deck.
Really?
Yeah. Like it's like 2 frames per second.
Oh.
But with Moonlight, it works runs like a fucking dream.
You're not going to touch Sons of the Forest, right?
Not anytime soon.
Okay.
I mean, in theory, I would like to. Especially considering how much I've come to enjoy survival games. I think I need to play the last episode of The Long Dark still, and that's been on my list for a long time.
Random.
You say random?
Yeah.
Dude, The Long
Just
Dark.
randomly brought it up.
Dude, The Long Dark I think is probably my favorite survival game. Hey,
Oh, it's a survival game, but it's more like a story game, right?
yeah, but it's episodic, and I played the first 4 episodes.
Has anybody
Which-
watched Shogun?
I have not yet.
Mm-mm.
I'm going to after I finish watching
I've heard good
Fringe.
things.
Fringe. But that's like
Yeah.
a network television show that was on for years and years, right?
It's 5 seasons, and I'm in the 5th season now, and I've only got like
okay,
10
okay.
episodes left.
Man,
Gotcha,
that
gotcha.
jump from season 4 to season 5 was. That
I
was
mean,
just
they
like.
they prepare you for it because they do an episode like 3 or 4 episodes prior to the end of season 4 where it's just like no warning. It's just like, hey, here's this futuristic thing, and you're like, what? Am I still watching the same show? And then they just go right back to the normal story, and you're like, what the fuck was that? And then it's like season 5 is like, by the way, this is what we just showed you. This is what we teased.
Yeah, but it feels like
Poor Things
Whiplash.
out
Like
on
it,
streaming now?
Is what?
Poor Things, is it out on streaming?
I think it might
I
be.
don't know.
I can look it up.
Oh, it's Prime Video to buy. Okay. Or
Poor
yeah.
things. Yeah, it's not free on streaming.
Hmm.
I don't need to be free. Is it rentable or is it only purchasable?
Well, now I gotta look again.
Is a good question.
It's for purchase.
These I can't even start on these people who are dissing the depths and Tears of the Kingdom. I can't even start with y'all.
Don't just ignore them.
These guys.
For the record, that's not me.
No, I got stuff to say, but it's a lot. But I want to tell these people off, but I do not have enough time in the rest of this day to tell them how fucking wrong they are.
Wait,
Shogun.
Talk about
talking-
not seeing the
who is
forest for the
talking-
fucking trees. My
Who is
God.
talking shit about the depths? I don't see it.
These people in chat, Papa Shot, and of course TDM, right? Notorious Tears of the Kingdom hater. Ugh.
Shogun has a 99% rating on Rotten Tomatoes
Yeah,
for
I'm-
78 reviews.
Rotten
Wow.
Tomatoes ratings for TV don't matter though. They've never been like film scores. You got to go to Metacritic. What is it on Metacritic?
I'm
I'm
looking
gonna
it up
guess
now.
I'm gonna guess 89 on Metacritic.
Also, you kind of need to wait on shows, honestly,
see. Not game. We're looking at
because a lot of times they'll review it only,
TV
but only
show.
like the first 4 episodes or whatever.
84.
Yeah,
on
that's true
Metacritic.
too.
84.
80, so 84 on Metacritic is a strong
pretty good.
score. I mean, it's rare that a show, especially in its first season, gets out of the 80s.
Well, I don't think this isn't seasonal. This is a limited series, right?
Oh, okay. So they might have reviewed all of it.
I am
Yeah, I mean,
definitely going to
that's-
watch it. It is my next viewing, my next show that I have primed and ready to go
So
after Fringe.
Disney announced their next round of like their 4K releases on Blu-ray.
Yeah, Andor, baby.
Andor,
Okay, this is what
yeah.
I was trying to get to before the show, and I got distracted. Chris Davis has out crazied me when it comes to physical media.
He has always
Because
out crazied you. We
he
just
was
don't
like,
talk about it.
He was like,
'cause
oh,
awkward.
Andor's finally getting a Blu-ray release. I can finally watch it.
Yeah, that's far weirder than anything you've ever done with physical media, Nick.
Okay, I feel
The fact that
vindicated.
he bought Dune to watch it.
I bought
And then
Dune
didn't like it.
because it was $7.
dude,
That's
Why
cheaper
was
than
it
buying a
$7?
fucking movie ticket or a month for a subscription.
I mean, true,
That
but
is
you
not
also had to
incorrect.
wait a long time to.
you could do a free trial of Disney Plus and watch the entirety of Andor in a day, plus all the other shows that they've
I've already
released.
burned
the
my
probably
free trial
shows.
with them.
buy a
Dude, pay
TV
for
show is
pay for
crazy,
1
'cause
month
those are
and then
expensive.
cancel. Do 1 month
How-
of Disney Plus for like $8.
How
watch
much is
everything.
Andor?
the DVD.
Yeah,
I think it's gonna be like $40 or something. I
probably.
don't think
Oh,
they've shown.
shit. What if you hate it?
He
I
won't.
watched the first episode of Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Anybody watching that?
We've watched the first episode. We haven't watched anything beyond it though. But
I've heard good things, but yeah, I've
Same.
not seen it.
it's pretty good so far. I think.
As a
We're very
15 fan. I
when
think I'm
when we
gonna-
watch shows together, we're very slow. We watched the first episode like 3 weeks ago.
I was gonna start. The Fargo. Anybody seen the most recent season of Fargo? Nolan, you probably have.
Yes, I've finished the most recent season
Okay, we were
season
gonna
of
start
Fargo,
with
and
that.
it is very good.
I have not
No,
seen
I-
the first season of Fargo yet.
This, I
Nick,
hate to
that
say
is
it,
such a
but
good
I
show.
think
I know.
I think
need
my
to
wife
fix
is an
that.
Anglophile. She's been watching so many fucking British shows. It is absurd. Now she got me onto Taskmaster because she was a big Taskmaster fan. I finally relented
I
and
love
say,
Taskmaster.
I'll
It's
watch
so good.
Taskmaster, and now I watch Taskmaster constantly. But I thought
Such a good show.
Then I noticed her watching like all these other British shows, and she's like trying to get me to watch them. I'm like, what is going on here? All British all the time with you. I caught her. She was watching this show Ghosts. And that was fine. I wasn't really watching along with her. It's a British show, very British. And then the other day, I was over my show. She was folding laundry, and she was watching Ghosts again. And I'm like, wait a minute. I wasn't watching with you, but I feel like I've seen enough of the show to where this doesn't make sense. And she's like, oh no, I started over. I'm watching it again. After she just watched it like a couple of weeks ago. And I'm like, you are a crazy person. Who does that? Who rewatches a show like right away, right after they just watched it? That seems nuts. to me.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
Robin has done that, but it's usually so she'll watch. Robin watched all of Hell's Kitchen, which is so.
that's
which
a
is-
weird one to rewatch because
But it took her
feels
so
like a
long.
single viewing sort of show.
It took her so long by the time she got to the end. She was just like, "Well, I don't want to." She's like so into. She's like, "I don't want to stop watching Hell's Kitchen, so I'll just start over." But she's also the kind of.
I get it.
She sits there and
Kitchen
plays
Nightmare.
Hollow Knight while watching cooking shows.
Oh,
Which-
that's disrespectful. Hollow Knight is too good for Hell's Kitchen. Damn it. But I mean, I'm all for watching TV while you play video games. But I mean, come on, Hollow Knight. That's like atmospheric and immersive.
I don't think she makes the distinction. That's just what she does.
My wife watches a lot of Abbott Elementary as well. That's not British.
What is that
I
one?
finished Night Country. Abbott Elementary.
Abbott Elementary
know.
just sounds British.
No, that one's not British.
I know, but it sounds British.
Oh.
It sounds like if I was to guess, it would be a British show. But
She
it's not.
watched the opening, and now I've seen a lot of trash TV, and she likes a healthy amount of trash TV. We watched the intro. We didn't even watch the first episode, just the intro for this show. It's called like The Villains or something. It's basically like, you know how every reality TV show over the years or whatever, not even reality TV, but like everything, just every kind of reality TV always has like, dude, this person is like horrible. This is like the worst person I've ever seen in my life. Like the standout of a reality show, like the true scumbag of like soulless person. They made one that has like all of them in one house, but they're all like the shit bags from like all these shows. You know, like I can name some of them, but I don't think you watch any of these shows, right? Like they have New York from Flavor of Love. Anybody? You know, they have. I mean, y'all don't watch 90 Day Fiance.
Nope.
What about Shay from Love Is Blind? Anybody watch Love Is Blind?
I have heard of multiple of these, but
It's
I've
such
not
a terrible,
seen any
terrible
of them.
idea because they only work as the one horrible person in like a group of also vaguely, you know, not amazing people. But to have like all of the worst people, like they're just bad people. To have them all together is like not a concept. That is just like who wants to watch that? That's awful. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just clicking through TV Metacritic, so it's reminding me of stuff.
All right, guys, I got to roll out.
Yeah, I'm gonna do
Trying
the same.
trying to start going to the gym in the morning before work, and let me tell you, I don't like it, but I'm trying to form the habit.
Anybody watching the new Curb?
I'm not.
Your enthusiasm?
I used to run before work. Okay, bye.
Uh,
I'm gonna sign off
Okay.
too. Later,
Huh.
y'all.
Okay. All right. Okay, gang. I guess that's it for me. I've got work in the morning, but then I'm taking Thursday and Friday off, and then that's my institution spring break week, which means I get to do nothing for 12 days but play Final Fantasy. So I'll probably have social responsibilities, but other than that, like, yeah, I'm fine with it. So, Tom, you want to say goodbye? You want to say goodbye, Tom? Tom, wait, come here. I got you. Oh, I got you. All right. Good boy. He doesn't like being picked up, so he doesn't like this right now, but he'll understand. I love you, Tom. Good boy. All right. Y'all, pleasant evening. I'm going to bed. I might stream it. I need to. It's on console, and console living room streaming isn't exactly easy for me. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Anyway, I need to go to bed. Good night.